Pleasure can be
There are also many websites.
Pleasure can be caused by many things. Or even maybe watching the Time Spent Poorly show with your boys at Martin.
It didn't make sense.
Mike's up.
It was a cover of a song.
Oh, here we are. Here we are. Here we are.
Hey guys.
Well, all right. Let's.
3 eyes on. 3 eyes on. That's the start.
Yep. I just came in my shorts.
Very nice.
Very nice.
There's really nowhere else to do
You're
it.
like, this is why I can't do the show anymore.
Is this the first show back where you guys are together and not remote?
No, we've been not remote for a handful of shows.
Oh wow. Okay.
We should talk about that. Let me get the intro pulled up.
Idaho doesn't care. It doesn't exist here.
Right.
Oh,
That's
I
right.
don't have volume.
It's fake news. You don't?
No, I want yours. Check.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let me check this mic.
You should be.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Weird. Maybe my headphones are off.
You're the only guy on now. Make sure that's turned.
Right. Check. Can't really tell with that thing on there. Hello? Oh, now I can hear me better.
You got to turn the NXL guy.
Oh, yeah?
Facing you. Yeah. Great.
I don't see shit. There we go.
But none of your things, your springs are off.
It's fine.
Still jacked up.
Turn me down and I'll fix it.
Okay, hurry.
I'm working on it. I don't need to be on for you to intro.
All right. Chris, do I got the right mic on for you?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I can hear me.
All right, here goes.
I'm not on yet.
Let's get ready to suck it!
All right, welcome to the Time Spent Poorly show. I'm one of the hosts, Eduardo. To my right, my direct right, is Derek, and directly to my left, the viewer's right, is Huds, and to the very right of all of us, if you're watching on your screen, is longtime listener, friend of the show, Bruno.
What's up, guys?
Welcome, Bruno.
Making sure to rep some.
Let me bring the music
Swag.
in a little bit.
Welcome to the big time.
I love it. I love it.
Very nice. Oh, no,
Represent-
now I'm down.
Now you're down? No, you shouldn't be. Oh, there you are.
You turn. Yeah,
Yeah, I
'cause
told you
had
down to fix
it,
your mic. Yeah.
Nice shirt. That's very nice.
Very nice.
Look, it's nice to meet you finally.
I know.
In personish.
Yeah, he's heard our voice
Yeah.
all this time, and now
That's
we finally get to
exciting.
hear his.
Uh,
I thought you talked like this.
Just that was your.
I just.
I do get people surprised normally
Well,
when they hear my voice.
just from your name alone, I gave you a very like menacing bad guy 80s movie, like European voice.
That's
So-
funny.
I also just figured our main demographic would be 80s movie European bad guy.
Hans Gruber.
Yeah, I'd be like, excellent show this evening. Smoking a
Good
very
to see you guys.
Stroking a long-haired cat.
Yeah, good to see you. Oh, you guys were excellent on this evening's program.
Program. This
No, it's
program.
awesome. I'm glad you get to be on the show. It's exciting. Man,
Yes, no, it's
2020. What a
Fun to
year.
be on. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been a long time coming. We've been actually looking forward to it. Let's see. We've got our good old buddy Jake. What's up, Jake?
Jake Matthews.
Thanks for joining today. I love it when Jake's on. He actually interacts quite a bit with us.
He's a great. He interacts
He
quite a bit.
participates.
He
And
does.
That's a totally good thing. 'Cause
Yeah, it's fantastic.
if you're a listener of the podcast, if you're listening to the audio form, one of the best ways to interact with us would be actually to catch us live every other Tuesday at 7 p.m. and we welcome it. So please come
Yes.
out and join us when we do the show live because it makes it a little more engaging, a little more fun. So
Yeah, and when Jake participates, it adds value to my life
he brings it every time.
because I'm like, hey, someone's listening. Someone's
Oh, he
actually
heard me.
listening. to
Yeah.
this. This is
Somebody
fantastic. Yeah.
So before we get into, I want to talk a little bit about this thing that Chris sent my way the other day, which was this philosopherai.com.
Oh yeah, that thing
And
is amazing.
I fell in love with it, and so the very first thing I looked up was time spent poorly.
Oh, did you?
This is what it had to say, and I have
or even maybe watching the Time Spent Poorly show.
God
I
damn it.
believe humans spend a lot of time not enjoying their lives, and this
Ain't
is mainly
that a
due to many
fact?
factors.
The
One such factor
philosopher
is the
AI
large amount
knows
of
that
fear
we
in
hate
human
ourselves.
society, which causes much anxiety and stress over things that are irrelevant or otherwise unimportant. This makes people feel unhappy by making them feel like they do not have control over their own life.
It's very
Another factor is the large
Grim.
amount of time that people spend working and thus being away from their loved ones. People work long hours in jobs they do not enjoy and miss out on much of their children's lives due to this.
Jesus.
One could argue that modern technology has allowed us to have more leisure time, but the reality is we only use it for entertainment purposes such as television or video games.
And masturbation.
Thirdly, people do not
It's all the
truly
same.
live in the present. They are constantly thinking about the future and worrying about what is to come. This makes them unhappy because they are unable to enjoy themselves in that moment. Lastly, people are conditioned to believe that they need to own a lot of possessions in order to be happy. This is wrong because most, if not all of these things are unnecessary and do not bring any long-term joy. All of these factors make people unhappy, and society could be much better off if they were removed. What is happiness?
Oh my
From
god.
what I know of human psychology,
He just goes
it is
on
a
and on.
combination of pleasure and the
That's
absence of pain.
nuts.
I like it.
Pleasure can be caused by many things, such as drugs or intense pleasures like sex. Or even
So-
maybe watching the
So
Time
you just like type something in and then hit generate?
Eric,
Yeah.
Hans, and Brother Ron.
Yeah, you said
I
it.
like that. You could miss your children growing up without the cats and the cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man in the moon.
So yeah, that's gonna be I'm gonna make that the new show description for the website.
I like it. I like it. It's
So everybody, anytime anybody subscribes, they just kill themselves immediately after.
I also a little bit is like, what is happiness?
From what I know of human psychology.
I think that's fun. That's great.
Now the text to speech thing was just an added bonus. I just pulled the text
Well,
from the
here's the
philosopher
thing.
AI and like pasted that into a thing.
Okay.
I've always said this, and everyone knows that because I've always said it. Is that if you're gonna get philosophy explained to you by AI, you might as well have a robot read it to you also.
Yeah.
Right,
And
exactly.
I've always said that.
Always. As long as I've done you.
Well, I've
The
always
first
said.
thing you said to me.
But yeah, that's the first thing. Yeah.
Hey, if you're gonna have an AI explain philosophy to you, you might as well have that son of a bitch read it to you too.
Hi, I'm Derek, and this is a few things I know about life.
He waited until after he did the philosophy bullshit to say, "Hey, I'm Derek."
Yeah.
Just
Man, yeah, I said that first.
you really, really need a robot to read it to you if
Yeah.
you're asking a question.
Just good. Yeah, Sean is also agreeing. He has. I've always said it.
I said it. So then
That's good. I like that.
I moved on to Amy Schumer, and I
Okay.
want to see if you guys can pick out. I took some liberties afterwards.
Uh-oh.
I want to see if you can pick out what those liberties are.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But basically, I tried. The first thing I said was Amy Schumer is talentless, and it came back with, welcome, Sean. Sean's here as well. It came back with, this is ridiculous. AI is not going to speak to it. Basically, it's basically the fuck you to me for even bringing up Amy Schumer's name. Then I said she was talented or underrated. I think I said Amy Schumer is underrated, and this is what it had to say. So, and I took some
You
some
added some
creative.
points to it.
Yeah.
There are also many websites where women can.
God damn it. So I'm starting in the right place. There we go.
There are also many web. Amy Schumer is a great comedian.
Oh.
Oh.
The people who say she is not working hard for her success are wrong. Comedian is one of the hardest jobs in show business, right next to director and reality TV star.
Disagree.
Some would argue that comedian or comedy writer is the most difficult job because you have to write new material every day.
No, you don't.
So this artificial
That's
AI
actually
is
why
just
some
like a
famous
struggling comic.
comedians
Can
only
you-
perform a few times
can you
per
pause?
year. They can't keep up with writing.
So did it say that? Hold on. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up.
Hold
Hold
up.
up. Did it say that reality TV star and director are on the same plane of being difficult?
That's
Yeah.
what I was.
Isn't like director like doing something and reality TV star is just not
Being.
doing something.
Listen,
just being.
listen, Derek. This thing's already come to Amy
It-
Schumer's defense. I
it
mean,
involves
there's
a
already
lot
some
of
holes in the
peeing in the
logic.
corner.
So,
Okay. Okay.
all
All
right.
right.
So,
Man, I want to go out there. I don't want to work hard. I don't want to be a director or a reality TV star.
Wow.
That's actually why some famous comedians only perform a few times per year. They can't keep up with writing their own material.
What?
or they're Billy
Amy
Ray Rock.
Schumer writes her own material, La Dida, and she is a good
La-di-da.
enough writer
La-di-da.
that other people like Tina Fey have written for her. She is in demand.
Yeah, but the
because of
difference
who
between
she is
Amy
as a
Schumer and
comedian.
Tina Fey is Tina Fey's a fucking genius.
People want to be around her and talk about what she has said or done. Some people say that she is a fluke, or that she's not even at the Reese's macaroni salad level of it's good enough, I guess.
That's some bullshit. There's no way that this AI thing wrote that.
Will ever have the kind of success she has had.
Are
But
you
I think
fucking
there are
with
many
us?
women who could follow in her footsteps.
I said I took some liberties.
Okay.
There are not many women.
You
who
didn't
could
pick up the
follow in her
la-di-da up
footsteps.
there earlier?
I think
The
that's
la-di-da.
No,
La-di-da.
I was like, well, man, this thing's really salty, but
I think there are
La-di-da.
many women who could follow in her footsteps. Some of them have already had successful careers, like Melissa McCarthy or Kristen Wiig.
Wow,
And there are many
that's
women
two
who have
completely
not
different
been
levels of
great,
talent.
but who could make it. I think eventually all of the barriers preventing women from being successful in comedy will fall away, and we will see more female comedians on stage.
So being funny, that barrier of being funny is going to fall away.
Yeah, the genetics just aren't going to come out and be like, "Hey, we're going to let you be funny
I
now."
think eventually all of the barriers.
Let's see.
the thing is all those other women mentioned I like.
It is true that women
Except
have been
Melissa
underrepresented
McCarthy.
in
Yeah, she's
comedy
grown
up
on
until
me.
now, but that's mostly because there were few opportunities for them.
That's not true either.
Nowadays, they can go to improv classes and perform on open mic nights at comedy clubs.
As
There
opposed
are
to like
also
a-
many websites where women can upload their own videos
Oh,
and get
dear.
feedback, like, say, an OnlyFans, or even
Oh my god.
That's a you
Amy
thing.
Schumer's show Inside Amy Schumer is a sketch comedy show that gives other female comedians the opportunity to perform on national television.
Yeah, but it's
Wow.
still sketch comedy.
National television. Have you ever heard of such a thing? I say reach for the stars and try and get on international, or maybe even interstellar television.
What?
You did that.
That was Liberty. All right.
Melissa McCarthy.
So this bit's
grew
over.
on.
Yeah, I know. Well, I remember you came over one time and you and Bree like couldn't get, you couldn't shit on her more.
I don't know. I
in
used
an
to
hour.
hate her.
Yeah, I know. You
Used to hate her.
absolutely loathed.
But she's done other. Here's the thing:
There's
is
some
Melissa
stuff that she's
McCarthy
done
has
that's
done
been
enough
okay.
stuff now. She's done so many things now that you have to. It's hard to find one where you're like. It's hard to find every single one that you hate.
I like her in the kitchen, and I also like Elizabeth Moss, who you don't care for. In the kitchen,
I'm pretty sure that whatever home planet is,
But I don't like-
I'm pretty sure whatever home planet Elizabeth Moss came from, she's a fine-looking woman and a great actress.
I'm a huge fan of women in the kitchen. You can't lob me softballs like that, dude. I will hit them.
I'm
So-
pretty sure whatever planet Elizabeth Moss came from, she's a great, fine actress
Fine. She's a fine actress.
and a real handsome woman.
she's Scientology too, huh?
She is.
Wait, who's Scientology? Melissa?
Elizabeth Moss.
Oh, Elizabeth Moss. Oh, okay.
So, what are your thoughts
Don
on
Draper's
Scientology, Bruno?
protege.
It's definitely a cult. I'm sorry, guys.
We're gonna
It's
see his door kicked in behind him and him get
You're
shot.
So, if for anybody that doesn't know, Bruno you work a little bit in the film industry,
a
correct?
little bit. That's my bread and butter.
That is your bread and butter.
So you better
I-
shut the fuck up about
That's-
Scientology.
I'm gonna be on set and just get kidnapped or kicked in the face or something.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Scientology is not even close to the worst cult we've heard about in the last year.
Oh, probably not. Probably
Like,
not.
I get that they're kind of weird and like off center, but it seems like it's mostly just a money grab. Whereas like some of these are eating children, and
Yeah,
that's
that's
just
true.
fucked up.
It's like a MLM. Like
Yeah,
one of those MLM schemes.
Hey, hon.
I got to get 10 people, and then the dues will be paid.
Hey, hon.
Yeah.
You having a problem with COVID-19? Have you tried essential oils yet?
Do you want to sell Confederated product?
What do you do though?
I work primarily in the locations department. So like my department has to find all the places we're gonna film in, and then deal with a lot of the permitting and agreements with the property owners, business owners, getting yelled at by all the quote unquote civilians. You know, people just not part of the crew.
That's
Have to deal with all that.
So okay, well that's interesting because you know the television show Yellowstone?
No.
Okay.
Glad I'm not the only one.
So you mentioned the kitchen. I worked on a little bit of the kitchen. I worked on the reshoots for the kitchen.
Oh yeah?
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
so there's a scene, I haven't watched the movie yet, but there's a scene in a bodega, right?
Okay.
And I worked on that scene.
That's cool.
Nice.
I guess like it's the scene where Melissa's character meets up with what's her name's character? The black actress in it.
Oh, Tiffany Haddish.
Yes. They meet up at the bodega and then they go to like this back room or something.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I worked on that. That was interesting. We shot that up in the Bronx actually.
That's
Now,
awesome.
Does that take any of the magic out of the movies for you?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. I always wondered, like, because I was looking through your IMDb and I was like, shit, he's worked on some cool stuff, but I wonder if it sucks to him because he had to go out and like get permits and shit.
Dude,
And see things in daylight if it's like shot for night or something.
that's exactly it. And like I'll be watching a show now or a movie and I'm trying to guess whether they're on a location or if they're on stage somewhere. And there's like little tells where if you know what you're looking for, you could tell like, oh, they're at a stage or, oh, they're actually at a real location. And then like stuff will happen. And like, for example, if it's a crazy shot where something like an explosion or something, in the back of my mind, I'm just like, wow, that must have been miserable for that locations team to have to deal with that. Getting permission to blow shit up.
Is the permitting the worst part of the job?
Probably not. I mean, I can't say it's the worst, but it's pretty bad, especially in New York City. It's tough.
So
I
how
imagine
are you
it's
guys
difficult.
doing with like COVID and stuff? Like,
Oh, we're non-existent right now.
oh, you're not even working?
No. Yeah, like funny enough, the last day in New York City of filming was Friday, March 13th. Friday the 13th was the last day. And we've been down ever since. There's a few things coming back now, like upstate New York, where they can kind of create bubbles.
Mm-hmm.
But New York City sounds like mid-September. They're going to start rolling some productions back in.
Wow. Yeah, I know there's a lot of shows that are just basically on this long hiatus. And I don't know, like some of these channels and stuff that like the streaming services are really like blowing their load with the content that they have. Like I'm worried about the future.
Yeah.
Content wise, like what's
paid up years for these
what's
things.
right. But like Fargo season 4 is coming out next month, and like then that'll be gone.
Do they actually shoot in South Dakota? Because if they actually shot in South Dakota, they'd have no problem because they didn't close down at all.
Probably not. They probably don't shoot there. And it's so weird. Like there's shows. So I don't know if you guys know the show Suits on TNT, which doesn't exist anymore. But
Meghan Markle.
Right. So that takes place in New York, but it's shot in Vancouver.
Really?
Yeah. I was gonna say shot on location if your location is Vancouver. Because I'm pretty sure like Arrow is shot in Vancouver and Smallville, like The Flash, like all of those shows are
have a lot there.
Supernatural.
They're all over the US, but they're actually just in Vancouver.
And Vancouver, BC in general is pretty permissive for the film industry, isn't it?
Yeah, no, they have a lot of stuff going on over there.
I thought so. And Georgia in the States is
Georgia has more movies than TV shows, but they do have a good amount of productions. New York tends to have more TV shows than movies. We get some movies here and there. And then, they like wherever the tax incentives are is where the productions go.
So, are you just kind of strictly located in the Jersey, New York area for your location scouting?
Yeah. NYC
You live
metro area.
What's that?
The NYC metro area.
Oh, okay. So you were actually, I was in New York a couple of years ago. You were probably not that far away.
No. I mean, I live in Jersey, but I commute every day. That's all close enough. No traffic, 35 minutes into the city.
Wow.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, not at all. Yeah.
So what have you been doing during shutdown, basically?
Just trying to work on my own projects, really. I want to produce.
Google satellite images.
Yeah, I want to produce. So I work with a buddy of mine who writes, and I'll just read screenplays from other friends, and we try to get some stuff off the ground. We had a short that we shot last March, and we released it, I think, in April, May, around there. We just threw it up online. It's like a 3-4 minute short. So just trying to graduate to the next thing,
Nice.
What's your short? You want to pitch it?
Yeah, sure. I have 2 shorts actually that I've produced with my buddies. So the one is more like a thriller. It's called Man with a Gun. You can find it on Amazon Prime. And the other one is called Feed. The one that I shot last year. It's called Feed. It's a horror that has to do with social media. It's a 3-minute short, so not very time consuming at all. And you can also find that either on Amazon Prime or YouTube. I threw it up on YouTube.
Awesome.
Cool. So a pair of shorts.
I'll put some links in our description.
I'll send those links over.
All right.
That's awesome.
Sweet.
Cool. I look forward to looking at those.
So, and then you have your clothing line.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of taken a back burner on that.
Yeah.
But it's there. It's
and
up.
the site, the domain name is whatisbeeasy.
Yeah, whatisbeeasy.com.
Yeah.
Which is
doing that
since you guys started the podcast, the OG podcast, the Basement Boys.
So what? Okay, I need to know then, Bruno. You look young. How old were you when you you want to divulge your current age?
Yeah, no, I look a lot younger than I am. I'm 30. I'll be 32 in less than a month.
Okay.
So I'm not too far from you guys.
So when you discovered us, you'd have been in your early 20s.
Yeah, exactly. You guys were in your mid 20s, I think, right?
Yeah, late. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was mid though. I was
you're mid 30s.
Yeah, Derek's about 5 years younger than me. Or 4 years.
So you started listening about the same time. I mean, around the same time I was on it. I mean, as far as age goes, that's pretty cool.
So it's funny. Like I came across you guys because I had just gotten a BlackBerry not too long before, and they had the podcast.
Any way to find us?
Well, it was weird. I just started browsing stuff on there, and you guys popped up, and I was like, this sounds interesting. And I downloaded an episode or two, and I listened. I was like, oh, this is funny. I like these guys.
Oddly enough, that's actually the only way people can find us now. It's still
with your BlackBerry.
on your old BlackBerry.
It's just been passed around.
It's really exclusive.
Yeah, that man in Russia that was listening to us as your BlackBerry.
Oh man. So yeah, and then I listened to you guys for a while. Then I stopped listening to podcasts altogether, and then I got back into podcasts more recently, maybe 3-4 years ago. And you guys popped back into my head. I was like, oh shoot, I wonder if they continue the show or not. And I went looking for you guys, and I saw Basement Boys 2. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And here we are now, right?
It's cool.
And here we are now. ESPN.
Yeah, man. That's pretty cool. That's honestly, you took about the same time off that we did, really. So that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. I only have a handful of people that I know from the original time we did the show that I still will talk with from time to time. But Bruno's the one I talk to the most.
Wow.
Because you're so you're so kind. You reach out and you
thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
So
yeah, why not? For sure. I mean, it's fun to interact with the podcasts you listen to and reach out, exchange some words. Yeah.
Well, then there's some out there that don't reply. Like you never hear anything from Bill Burr or Mark Maron. Or,
Oh wait, you guys never heard back from him?
no,
Well, I heard back from. I have him on speed dial.
you're just
I
lucky.
don't. Well, it's like one of those things where I think I have like Nathan, who's been on the show and is part of the network. Kind of he's like been retweeted by like Adam Carolla, and it's like one of those things where you, like whenever you get retweeted by somebody, you're like, oh, like that's
only
kinda
because
cool.
Nathan said something about man greats.
Probably.
Man great. Yeah.
Right.
That's
But, like,
my favorite thing.
retweet.
You know, you
retweeted.
ever tweet somebody and get like retweeted back, you're like, oh, nice,
Yeah.
that's cool. And it
I'm
could be
actually
somebody,
I'm
like
not,
shitty.
a big Twitter guy. Not big on Twitter.
I've had the same Twitter account for like 12 years, and I think I've maybe doubled my listeners from 200 or my followers from 200 to 400.
I don't even think
Yeah.
I have that many. But my one claim to fame on Twitter is the lead singer of the Spin Doctors follows me.
Oh, there you go.
How does that even happen? He just posts a lot of cat pictures. Dude, Chris Bannon just loves cats.
All right.
Good for him.
Yeah.
2 princes.
I got. I think Kevin Smith's the only one I've gotten to respond to me, but he's such a whore though. He'd respond to I think.
Yeah,
Anybody.
he really, really likes attention.
He's a fellow Jerseyan.
Yes,
Yeah.
he is.
Yes.
Yeah,
So, are you from Jersey then?
Yeah, born and raised.
but you have an ethnic background too,
Yeah, I'm Portuguese.
Portuguese. Okay, we were talking about that today,
Portuguese.
and because I'd seen something on your profile about was it a soccer game?
Oh, dude, I'm like fanatic.
A soccer fan?
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's
We actually
really-
it's a Portuguese team based out of Lisbon called Benfica. They sport red jerseys, and today the youth team, the under-19 team, played the Champions League final against Real Madrid, and I was watching and we lost, and I was a little bummed out, but it's life.
Yeah.
It's exciting though that that soccer's growing so much in the States, though, isn't it?
It's a different soccer. It's not the same soccer. It's
No.
like, and that's the other thing too. It's like I don't want to call them hooligan, but you go to like some soccer games and you're in these stadiums and the atmosphere is incredible. It's like nothing you've ever witnessed before. Like I've heard people get excited at some MLS games here. I'm like, dude, you need to go to Europe and really experience a soccer match over there.
Yeah. I mean, it's still excuse me. I do think it's still cool that it's grown so much in the last even like 5 years though.
Yeah.
And I think it's just mostly because of availability, right? Like we're in the Northwest, so people are starting to go like, oh, like Seattle has a soccer team. Maybe we can go check out one of those games. And
They're pretty all right, I think. Aren't they pretty good in the league?
Yeah,
the
they're a pretty good
Sounders.
team,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to take my son to a game because he got really into soccer, and now he's kind of like he's taking a break. He wants to take a break from everything. They got something that comes at like 12. He's like, I'm getting pubes and stuff now.
You're gonna start chasing girls.
I'm retired.
way to just put your son out like that. Damn.
Oh well, I'll have to go.
Shaming the hell out of him
His voice is
on
cracking.
air.
So I do think it is impressive how much it's grown though, because I think that was something that so it's grown quite a bit in the last 5 years. I think that's something that 10 years ago, when you told people that, they would go, soccer will never be a thing
Right.
here. Like it'll never be a thing here. And it's like somebody's on the network here, Andy King. He's in Iowa, but he does King Sports on the network. He's still doing the show, right?
Yeah, I think he's on hiatus.
On hiatus.
They had
but-
like that derecho or Derecho
that's
storm
right,
there, and so
but he's a huge like Sounders fan and a huge soccer fan, and it's
Go
good.
ahead.
Well, it's just so I think after I started hearing him talk about it more, I started just noticing more and more people like posting stuff on social media about soccer, and then even starting to watch like the World Cup, and even though the men haven't been there in forever.
That's
US
such an
man.
amazing event. I don't even care. And it's like, I think I should probably at least know the outcome of this game because
See, I think that's why
Too.
the U.S. women's team is so good, because over here we kind of integrate co-ed, and nowhere else in the world are sports co-ed. Nowhere else. So the women here are used to playing against men, and they're just so much better, because then when they go out to play against women from other countries who are not used to that physical aspect, and they don't have the same skill level, our women here just dominate completely.
They get to switch to easy mode when they go.
That's a
Pretty much.
good point, though. That's not something I had considered, but that's a good point. Oh, Jake, you ever scrap at a match like a Green Street Hooligan?
Yeah, I was reading that, and no, I know people who have. I am friends with some people like that, but I like to think of myself as a little more civilized, so I've never scrapped at a match. I also don't want to get hurt, so negative on the scrapping.
Did you play soccer?
I did, yeah. Growing up, it's in the blood, man. You can't not play soccer.
Yeah, that's pretty
cool.
And
I mean, I've been to matches. I watch it here, as you know, whenever I can. I watch all the matches, follow closely. So it's very ingrained in me.
How do you catch the matches that you do? Do you use a specific streaming service, or are you still slave to cable TV?
So more recently, you know, with the internet, it's great. I have IPTV. I don't know if you guys are familiar. I pay I think like $50, $60 a year, and I've got like 8,000 channels worldwide.
Wow, that's awesome.
And that's how I really only use like 4 channels of that, which are the channels to watch the soccer games.
That's awesome.
Sounds about right, though.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
8,000 channels you use 4.
I mean, it's so cheap, and it's wonky sometimes because it's over the internet, you know, and I don't know how legal it is or anything, but every once in a while it lags.
Cool. It's all cool. Then
I was using a service last year. I can't remember what it was. It was Gears TV.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool because you could watch like everything. But there was a while after I was using it, and how I had to go like download it. Like I had a friend help me do it. After I got it, I had a friend help me download it and help me get it working and stuff. And then finally,
took a crying
I'm using it, and I'm watching all these shows, and all of a sudden I was like my wife was like, she's like, "Is this legal?" And that was the first voice of reason I had heard in going through all the Gears TV stuff. And I looked at her and I'm like, you know, I don't know that.
I don't know. I saw somebody sacrifice a goat earlier. I don't think I'm in the right.
Yeah, no, I got everything. I have all the HBOs. I have Showtimes. I have the NFL Red Zone, which I think is like a $30 a month channel or something like that. I get a few pay-per-view channels, but I don't use any of them. So I really just do it for the overseas soccer matches.
Oh, actually, you might be able to help us out. This last Friday, we were having a conversation about who people root for in certain areas. You live in Jersey. Who do people root for in Jersey? Are they Giants fans or are they Jets fans?
Okay, so it depends where in Jersey you are. If you're in South Jersey, most people are Eagles fans because they're closer to Philly.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're in North Jersey, most people are Giants fans. You've got a good amount of Jets fans, and then you have some other fans sprinkled around. Like there's a decent amount of Patriot fans and Green Bay. Some Cowboys fans that get made fun of all the time.
Ugh. Then they should.
Yeah,
they should get made fun of. So I found that because I didn't know until actually if you want to find
the last time the Cowboys were good was when Emmitt Smith played for them.
Yeah, the 90s. They're terrible. Sean and I did a show on Friday where at the end of the show, we both realized how actually stupid we are as humans. And we were looking at a map and trying to we're actually looking at a map and going like, oh, this is where this city is. And then going like, oh, I'm a moron. And realize that if you held a gun to my head and told me to label every state, I would not be able to do that.
For New York, I just circle the whole top part of the top tip of the United States, with including Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont. I'm like, this is New York.
No, I was like, I'm like, all right, Maine's the head, Florida's the dick. Here's all of the Northwest.
Pretty much. I don't think there's many people who can label all the states.
So then that's when I had realized I did not know that the Jets and the Giants both played in MetLife. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I always
They're in the same
thought the
stadium.
Giants were in Jersey, the Jets were in New York. I did not realize that.
We have like 3 or 4 New York teams that play in Jersey.
Wow.
So we have the New York Giants, New York Jets, and the MLS team is called the New York Red Bulls, and they play in Jersey. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The Devils are Jersey. That's the New Jersey Devils. Brooklyn
Right.
left. They used to be the New Jersey Nets. Now they're the Brooklyn Nets.
And I did know that. Yeah.
And I think that's all we got. We don't have any baseball teams.
Do you only really watch like soccer, or do you root for any of those teams?
So I watch soccer. I root for my team, like a diehard fan. Like I get upset if we lose, but then I follow other sports, but I don't really care too much. Like I'm a Yankees fan, but I don't care if they lose. I'm a Giants fan. I don't care if they lose. Devils, like you pick a team in every sport, but it's whatever.
Yeah,
I became a Yankees fan kind of by a weird way. I moved out. I lived about 35 minutes outside Boston right out of high school, and everyone is a diehard Red Sox fan. And so it started as a joke. I would just be like, oh, no, you got to root for the Yankees. They're American. And I worked at a bank with all women, and they were all just diehard. And, it was fun.
Just to get on their nerves. Just to get on their nerves.
Well, and one of my very good friends he's a diehard Patriots fan now, but he became a Patriots fan. He didn't even watch football, but he became a Patriots fan to troll people, literally. Because people out here hate the Patriots.
Wow.
But so he became huge. He's a huge.
Over here, it's a big thing, the New York teams versus the New England teams.
Yeah.
So, Giants versus Patriots, it's a big rivalry. And then the Yankees versus the Sox.
Yankees Sox.
Yeah.
Yankee Sox is one of the best games you can go to. I don't like watching baseball on television at all, but I love going to the stadium.
That's cool.
It's just a blast.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how it is with hockey for me. Like hockey live is exciting.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I tried watching hockey on TV, and I'm like, but we go up and watch the Chiefs games up in Spokane, and man, I can't sit at get really excited. I just like the live atmosphere there too.
And I remember going to a Devils game, and I've seen some excitement, man. These fans get rowdy.
Yeah.
These fans get rowdy. Plus, you can fight. You can legit fight in hockey.
Yeah. Now, have you actually ever seen the Devil of New Jersey, though?
Oh, I have.
You have?
Crazy. No. It's funny though. I've done I think you guys have, every state I think has their weird and then state. So weirdnewjersey.com, weird New York, weird Idaho, weird whatever.
Right.
And it has all these places that are supposed to be spooky or whatever, or haunted. I don't know. And there's a whole list here in Jersey, and I've done 2 or 3 of them, and whatever. Most of these are private property. I remember I went to it's called the Gates of Hell, and it's by a train station. So the whatever police of the train, they're in charge of that, and they catch kids all the time trespassing.
Yeah.
And I was about 17 years old. Went with a bunch of us. It was 15 kids. How do you keep 15, 17-year-olds quiet? It's impossible. So everyone's just jumping. We're walking along the train tracks, just jumping and yelling. We're going to the gates of hell. We're going to the gates of hell.
That's great.
And a bunch of the group went ahead. Some of the group stayed behind. I was part of the group that stayed behind. And then a few minutes later, I just see everyone, not everyone, but a few guys running and the cops are coming, the cops are coming. And about 5 of them got arrested. That was the 3rd group that night that had been
That's
caught.
hilarious, yeah. So the Jersey Devil though is it's kind of like your Sasquatch though, right?
Yeah.
Because that's we have Sasquatch.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
We
we
have-
have the New Jersey Devil.
We have a professor at Idaho State University, which is actually pretty far from. It's actually 8 hours from here. Who has written books about Sasquatch? That's a real thing. Like he's a noted expert of Sasquatch. I'm not kidding. about that.
Academic treatise.
He's an academic.
Wow.
How can a person support that though in 2020?
And be a
Like-
collegiate professor, you're asking?
Right.
And get funding for that stuff?
Cryptids, I think they're the best thing in the world. That cryptozoology shit, fantastic.
Oh, it's awesome stuff. It's
Like-
just
all of the lake monsters and
yeah.
I don't believe in any of them. Not one. But I think it's awesome.
I know
like
people
everybody's got their thing.
I know people who swear they've seen a Bigfoot, and I'm like,
Did you
guys,
get your
that's
cell
not
phone
real.
out and take video of it?
That's my exactly what I would say. Like in today's day where everything is videotaped 24/7, where is the evidence?
right.
Yeah,
And it's always
have
like
that
some
phone.
grainy video.
Hey, my phone battery was
Right.
dead. Oh, so Papa
I
Squatch
didn't have
has got
LTE. No, you can still use your camera.
a jammer.
Yeah, I'm not asking you to live stream the fucking thing.
Just video.
Take one fucking picture.
Oh man.
Quick shout out to my daughter Mara. She's apparently watching the show.
Oh, and I
that's
just
cute.
cussed a ton.
She's been on Smart Mark Wrestling a few times.
She has.
She
yes,
charges into the room.
She's a special guest. That's hilarious though. Yeah, give me one. I had bad reception. Oh,
Okay. So
Yeah.
your phone camera didn't work?
I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you to do a let's play with it and invite it to be on your podcast. Dumbass.
Like the only footage available was back when we were using film stock. And it's like this 8mm burned film stock where you see a little grainy blob. See it? It's right there. It's right there.
Fucking aliens! I swear. No, it's not. Like, you know what Bigfoot is? Have you been to Lolo Hot Springs? Holy shit. It's just some old fat dude climbing out of a hot spring. It's not a Bigfoot.
Naked.
That's just a dude with a hairy back.
That's
What's
a-
that smell?
That's a Northwestern
Yeah,
giant lumberjack.
could be a logger. Not sure.
That's good stuff.
Well, circling back to our earlier conversation, I want to just touch on Jake's comments here before we move on. Here we go. Isn't Amy Schumer the one that ended all the Looney Tunes episodes? I don't know what that's about.
That's a Porky Pig reference.
Is it?
Yeah, that's all, folks.
Oh.
He's calling her. He's calling her.
Good joke. That's a good joke.
It's a good.
That is a good joke. Wow, that's funny.
Oh, that's my favorite joke.
That's a
That
real
is-
good reference.
You know, my head went to like, oh, she ended them all because they had all the violence. I was thinking like she had some agenda
Oh, no.
against the violence in the cartoons.
No, she's not smart enough to have an agenda.
Well,
And nowadays, with all the cancel culture, it's getting ridiculous, man.
yeah.
No kidding.
And then Tiffany Haddish joined Scientology.
Good for her.
LOL.
I feel like joining Scientology is like a way for actors to get a boost in their careers.
I feel like if I was trying to become an actor, I probably would join Scientology.
We
Yeah,
had
I
that.
think you just have to
We had
blow
that
John
whole thing
Travolta,
in the schedule at one point for the last. But you had to bail on the last show. But we were going to talk about Elizabeth Moss a little bit and her
Oh,
being
yeah.
in Scientology.
Yeah, she's a Scientologist.
And basically, Bruno's
is.
argument that she uses it to as a catalyst for her career, but I would
Yeah.
argue that her career hasn't been that hot.
She's
That
Look, man,
Scientology's
money-
playing any factor.
money
in it.
and religion only can get you so far when you have that face. I'm telling, she's got a face for radio. She's a second generation Scientology thing. The story I put together
Really?
for Elizabeth Moss is that her parents were Scientologists, so
Oh.
she's born into Scientology.
So she hasn't blown John Travolta.
Oh man!
No,
No.
well, no, she's not a man.
Hey, shots fired. Shots fired.
I got Kelly. I'm not gay. Kelly Preston's my wife.
Did you hear he killed her?
You
What?
did?
Well, he killed her with cancer.
Oh,
Oh.
What?
well,
She died of cancer.
They-
she did die.
Did
Yeah.
she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where the fuck was I?
And my joke was in poor taste. And I apologize. But Yeah,
He did pass away.
Satan
though.
he
overload.
died like
It is
2 months,
sad,
ago, like
though,
a month and a half ago.
It's sad, but we're all smiling. Think about that real quick, folks.
Well,
You gotta laugh at
I'm
At the
thinking about the
backtrack.
good times that Kelly Preston about us all.
I just think about her fuck scene in Jerry Maguire.
That's the scene I'm talking about. How did you know?
How
It's
have I
like,
not
That's
seen
the only
Jerry
memorable part,
Maguire in
only
so long?
memorable thing she's been in.
I almost turned Jerry Maguire on to fall asleep last night because it was on Netflix and I was scrolling through. Have you noticed you do that shit? You just scroll through. I spend more time looking for something
Netflix
to watch
is like
on
the
Netflix.
video store walls at the VHS, like going to
Just
Blockbuster,
Blockbuster?
and just kind of perusing. But the only thing with going to Blockbuster is if you pick up 2 titles at Blockbuster, you're going to watch them because there's an obligation at that point. You've made
Yeah.
this commitment at that
You-
point.
you drove
But if
over
you
to the
select the
store.
title on Netflix and you don't like it within the first 5 minutes, you're like, next.
Next,
Yeah.
next flick.
No shit. There's an episode title.
Have you guys watched any? Have you guys watched any of the DC Fandom stuff?
I watched the Black Adam thing.
Yeah.
I'm tentatively excited about that because he's my favorite superhero,
See?
and because he's like Superman with no holding back.
Yeah.
And The Rock is playing him, so
Yeah.
I'm super excited about that. Not super excited about that accent that he's trying to do. I don't know if I'm down with that. Like, just be The Rock. Kahndaq's not a real place. You don't have to make up an accent for it.
Yeah, just be the Rock.
What's
be
he
The
doing?
Rock.
I haven't heard
It's-
any.
It's almost. Have you played any Injustice?
Uh-uh.
Probably not. In Injustice 2, Black Adam's one of the
Yeah,
main bad guys. He's teamed up with Wonder Woman and a couple other people, and they're opposing Batman's whatever. And he's just got this kind of. It's like they're trying to be Egyptian, but also like they're trying to be Eastern European, and it's just this weird like mesh.
yeah.
And The Rock only does it like part time. He doesn't always like it doesn't hit every word. And I think he's not an actor. He's a movie star.
No.
And he just
He's an
needs to take
entertainer.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
Him and Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Kevin
He-
Hart should be his sidekick.
The Rock.
I don't care that the Black Adam doesn't have a sidekick.
Yeah,
He should just
The
be
two
like,
of them should just do movies
like Kid
together.
Adam or
they're like
something.
the new Farley and David Spade. Like put them in movies together, and it'll be a good movie, I'm sure.
I was
Yeah,
thinking
at
like
least worth
Pesci and De
watching.
Niro.
Yeah,
Well, Pesci and De Niro are good actors. I mean, I would say. I don't know.
I
what
know.
you
I
guys-
100% agree.
Yeah, because I've watched interviews with Robert De Niro and he's nothing like his characters.
No.
I don't think he's a tough guy at all.
Pesci's a little bit like his characters, though.
I was
Pesci's
happy to see
hilarious.
Pesci come out of
He is.
retirement for The Irishman.
Yeah.
That was a good.
It was a long ass movie.
Yeah, it was very long. I've only
I-
watched it the one time. I
Yeah.
don't know if I can do it.
I don't think I could
Again.
stomach it a second time.
It was a process too. That movie. I mean, it took forever to get released.
Yeah,
Like,
it did.
That was shot here. I have a bunch of friends that worked on it. I actually try to get on it, and that was shot about the same time as the first A Quiet Place.
Really?
Except the first A Quiet Place shot for 3 months. I want to say 2 to 3 months. Irishman shot for like 5 to 6 months, which is outrageous. And then it still took another 1.5 to 2 years to release.
Oh
Wow.
wow.
Yeah, because I mean, I heard a rumor. I don't know. Don't take my word on this, but I heard it had to do with the whole de-aging of the actors and re-aging them and all that stuff.
Oh, I bet that shit took forever. Because
Yeah.
that's another thing that's come a long way in the last couple of
Yeah.
years. Like a really long way in the last couple of years.
Well, yes. Think
Yeah.
about X-Men 3, which still looked pretty good when they
At the time,
de-aged
yeah.
Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen for the flashback scenes.
Right.
It still looked pretty good. And now that de-aging stuff, I mean, you have a hard time even telling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
There's still little tells. Like I remember hearing stories of them being on set and like Robert De Niro would be playing a younger version of himself, but he's still like, what is he, like 70 something?
Yeah, he still has
right.
those 70-year-old
walks-
mannerisms.
Right. He walks like a 70-year-old. So they would have to tell him to get a little more pep in his step and try to walk like a younger version of himself.
And-
And then he just kind of like moves aggressively, like he's got to take a shit.
Their mouths and their
Just clench butt cheeks.
don't
Oh,
get
man.
fixed. Right.
He's like,
That's funny.
we're like, Bob, walk like you just ate at China Buffet. He starts sprinting.
Yeah.
Oh man.
77-year-old man moves so fast.
No, the reason why I brought it up is because I don't want to spend a whole episode talking about it because I know we could, but I felt the hype for the Snyder Cut. I am genuinely still really excited for it.
I am prepared to be let down.
I'm ready to be hurt again.
Yeah, I know that I'm going to be let down.
But you were right. It's going to be 4 1-hour parts, which is, I think, the smart way to do it.
Yeah.
But I like what I've seen so far. And the biggest takeaway for me was that all of the scenes that they have with Superman, he's wearing like the black suit and stuff, and they threw out all the Joss Whedon stuff. So that means all of the mutant Henry Cavill lip scenes are gone. That's all gone. No more mutant Henry Cavill trying to do facial expressions. And they're like, can we make him smile at all? And he's all like,
they just kind of like took some spray paint and spray painted his mustache green, and then they tried to green screen it out.
Well, I think at some point, like if you would have had it, if you would have watched Justice League, and it was a scene later on in the movie where you saw like his mutant face with that lip, it would have been jarring, but you'd been like, well, that's all right. I've already been watching this movie. I'm an hour into it. But the fact that it was the opening scene to the movie, it was like establishing that
on
it was
an iPhone. Like why? What was the directorial choice there?
Right.
Like what were you thinking, you stupid cocksucker?
You didn't even have to have him in this because he's on an iPhone and have him say his line and then just move past it. And then later on in the movie, you show the scene where he's fighting all 4 of them off. It would have been honestly ignorable. But instead, it's the opening scene of the movie, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, now I know this looks like shit.
They can't catch a fucking Sasquatch, but they can catch Superman. It's bullshit. I'm angry.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited. I was excited for a few of the things that came out of it. I think James Gunn's Suicide Squad 2 looks good.
Boy, I'm nervous about anything DC related though, because I just feel like they're so eager.
And I think Pattinson's the Batman's going to be good.
I think Batman's going to be good.
I don't have any doubts about Robert Pattinson's acting ability.
I don't either.
And I think that the people that do probably wasted their time watching that vampire movie. And you know what? He got a bunch of fucking money for that because that was like 7 or 8 movies or something. And
also, early on in his career, there's Leonardo DiCaprio didn't start out as Leonardo DiCaprio. He did a movie called The Beach.
Yeah.
Wasn't that just about pot? Like just a bunch of kids on a beach smoking pot?
Yeah, I don't remember who directed it, but it was
thing?
Yeah, it was a bizarre movie. He did some shitty movies. He was also on Growing Pains with Kirk Cameron.
Show
he
me
could have been
smile.
Saving Christmas, but
show me that smile.
Speaking of cults,
don't waste another minute on your crying.
Now you
was it you guys who spoke about Don's Plum, like a old indie movie?
I don't think so.
Maybe not. So there's a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio way before he was Leonardo DiCaprio called Don's Plum, and it's hard to find it because him and a few of his friends who, like, you go watch it now and you know there's some recognizable faces, but they just got together as friends and they made this indie film, low budget, like no one was paid. And then when they finished editing it, I guess Leonardo DiCaprio was starting to get a little traction, and he just shut the film down.
Wow.
He would not let it get released, threatened to sue the director and everything. And then the director's like, oh yeah, and just released it online for free. So, it's not very easy to find, but you can definitely find it. It's an interesting movie. It's with Tobey Maguire also.
Oh yeah, he's buddies with him. He's buddies with that guy that was in Mad Men that ended up with Derek's favorite girl, Elizabeth Moss.
So the story goes that like
Sweetheart
Tobey Maguire was the one that kind of incited the whole thing for Leo DiCaprio to not want to release this. He was just being a dick. Yeah.
It sounds like he's a dick to everybody.
Yeah, it sounds like Tobey Maguire is kind of historically a dick.
I've heard horror stories.
Which is too bad because he doesn't play like that, you know, like he
Yeah.
doesn't play like he'd be like that, you know.
Yeah, he's
Yep.
a good actor because he's actually an asshole.
I know that Joe Manganiello. Jesus Christ, I don't know his name.
Joe Manganiello.
Yeah, I know that I watched an interview with him a few years ago where he said he fucking hated Tobey Maguire.
He's that really big,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's married to that woman from. God,
Yeah, he's married to Sophie Vergara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a big Dungeons and Dragons guy. Doesn't he have a podcast or something?
I think he's a super big. I think he's like Vin Diesel, or he's like a super big
Just
nerd.
crazy
Also,
nerd.
yeah. Would you or do you watch stuff like that though, Bruno? Do you watch any like DC Marvel stuff? Do you watch any of that stuff or
Not the TV shows. I try to get into it, but
because they're in Vancouver?
no. Actually a lot of the Marvel stuff is shot in New York. Surprisingly.
Oh wow,
Wow.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of some of them right now, and I'm just like Nick Cage was shot in New York.
In Harlem, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, all over. They shoot all over the boroughs.
Do they?
I mean, if you guys name me a few, I'll be able to tell you which ones were shot here. Oh, Punisher. Punisher is a
Punisher
New
and
York
Daredevil,
show.
I'm sure.
Daredevil's a New York show.
I know it.
Yeah.
That guy, good actor too.
Yes. Yeah, you worked on The Quiet Place, right?
I did.
Both of
Yeah.
them.
Well, the first one I worked on the whole film. The second one I just worked on a part of it.
Now, what did you find for that?
So I didn't on that job. I actually didn't find anything.
Oh,
They most of the when I came in, most of the locations were already found. So it was more like logistical stuff and just being on set, taking care of anything that had to do with the location we were at. We shot at a farm in the middle of New York State. So it was in Pauling, New York, which is about 30 minutes east of Poughkeepsie. And it was like this little. We were in the middle of this little valley, like deep, where there was no cell service. So you would go up the hill on either way on the road and get cell service. But as soon as you come into the farm, no cell service. It was weird. That was one location. We had another location in New Paltz, New York, which is the bridge, the infamous bridge where the kid gets snatched up. Spoiler alert.
I think the first 5 minutes you can
Just a
spoil
kid,
with
any
that.
kid.
Right.
Yeah, kid.
And then the
Pretty
scene.
establishing scene for a movie, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. The scene where they're talking by the waterfall, that was up in Albany, New York.
Oh, wow.
So that was a trip. We had to travel up there. It was because it's like a 4-hour drive. So we all drove up the day before, slept there, shot the following day, and then the day after that, we drove back down.
So are you on set a lot as locations? Would it be location scout or?
No, so it depends. I work in the locations department, and then sometimes I'm a scout, sometimes I'm an assistant. So it really depends. If I'm an assistant, I'm typically more on set. If I'm a scout, I'm practically never on set. Like the scouts are the ones who actually go out and find the places. They're never on set.
Have you worked on any like period piece movies with like the old cars and stuff?
Yes, I have. So I worked on
Is that pretty fun?
Oh, not really.
No,
Not really.
You really need to say
not when you have to like tell people that they have to take their air conditioners out and their dishes off the wall because they won't be able to watch TV for the next 2 days because we can have a dish hanging outside of their window. And you have to not let people park their 2000 and 2010 cars on the street and all crazy stuff.
Oh, I bet you that people hate you.
Oh, what? In New York? People love us. What are you talking about? What? We get yelled at on a constant basis. It's like,
you're
taking up all these blocks. Yeah, because, we rolled in with like 10 trucks of equipment, It's like, you're taking up all the parking space. Like, dude, you live in New York. There's never any parking. Just live with it.
the fuck over it, man.
So do you? I have to ask, on a Quiet Place, do you have an opportunity to meet a lot of these actors too, or?
I mean, it's not like you meet them. You work with them. They're coworkers. So if you have to interact with them, you interact with them. If you don't have to interact with them, then you just like you see them on set. You walk by them, whatever. I had the new Spider-Man. What's his name?
Tom
Holland.
Yeah, Tom Holland. Like I'm on set and like someone just bumps me from behind. I'm like, whoa, what the hell? And it was him. He like bumps past me. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, dude. I'm like, yeah, better be sorry.
Give me a
Better
fucking
be sorry.
sandwich.
That's pretty cool though.
Oh man. But that's it. Like, like some stuff, sometimes I have to interact with them a little bit more, like on A Quiet Place. I had to interact a little bit more with John Krasinski, Jim from The Office, for anyone who doesn't know who that is.
Eric's favorite show.
Never heard of him.
Who?
I wouldn't be able to. I don't know.
You couldn't pick him out in the lineup.
Isn't
I
that
don't know if I could do a job like that just because I might be the person that's too like starstruck probably.
Well,
the guy they want everybody wants to play Mr. Fantastic?
Yeah.
So
Probably too tall.
like I had to ask him to take a picture with somebody because when we were there, we hired the local county cops to just be our security.
Mhm.
And one of the county cops, he's like a huge Office fan. So he just asked me, he's like, dude, could you ask him to take a picture with me? I was like, all right, man, look, come by on this day and I'll see what I could pull off. And it was like one of the last days, so it was an easier day and things are a little calmer. And I just like caught him on the way to his trailer. I was like, hey man, look, could you just do this? He's like, yeah, man, no problem, definitely.
That's
Can you
awesome.
do this for
Yeah,
this
totally.
cop?
I was waiting for a Never Meet Your Heroes moment, and that's awesome. Well, because you watch like the Some Good News stuff that he was doing.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
really positive and upbeat, and it's like
Exactly.
you wonder if like is he maybe an asshole, but he was pretty easy to work with though, huh?
There's a
Yeah, well, for me, I mean, some of the other
In the
crew,
capacity, right? Yeah.
right? Some of the other crew had a hard time with him just because, not because he's a dick or anything. It was just like he's acting, he's directing. You know what I mean? He was also a writer on it, so he's filling too many roles. And when you're on a set, there's so many things going on. There's so many questions, and if you're not there to answer questions, nobody knows what to do. So.
Yeah.
You guys have heard what a call sheet is?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, but for whoever doesn't know, the call sheet is pretty much what we're going to be doing the following day, right? Like what time people need to report to work and what scenes we're going to be filming. And we would have a call sheet, and then the next day we'd get there, and the call sheet would just get thrown out the window. We're doing completely different scenes. And it makes it hard for the crew to work because they can't properly prepare.
I'm kind of surprised that ended up being as good a movie as it was, because usually when somebody takes on that many roles, the movie itself suffers. And that one, it was an entertaining horror movie.
It's a good movie.
And there's a bunch of them lately that just suck balls.
I think part of what helps though is that since he did write it and direct it, I've
You have a vision
in the stuff
in
I've
mind.
seen. He's very passionate about it too, though.
Yes.
So, like this is going to be a good project. God damn it, because I've really
me if it isn't,
Yeah, like I'm really passionate about it. It's hard to be like if you do a passion project and then it turns out to be a turd. It's like, well, I'll just go. Looks like I'm gonna go fucking kill myself. Well, that's all that's left. I just gotta go kill myself. That's pretty cool. That's probably what happened to Hemi.
No, it was surprising. Like even being on set, I wasn't expecting much out of it. I was like, whatever, just be another movie. And then like it blew up. I mean, we knew it was gonna blow up because we had a cast and crew showing in New York City. So we had like a private viewing before it was released, and we all left like, holy shit, this is incredible. And then it just blew up.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's a cool idea. It's interesting.
Monsters are disgusting.
Oh, my favorite project? What's my favorite project I worked on? I would probably say either Quiet Place, just because I had a pretty good time, or I just worked on the new Sopranos movie, which hasn't been released yet. And that was the period piece.
Yeah, didn't Gandolfini's son?
Yeah, plays
Isn't he playing the young version of him?
That's correct.
Oh, I thought they
Really?
released it
Wow,
from the
that's
dead.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was supposed to be coming out next month, and then they pushed it. And then when COVID happened, they pushed it indefinitely. So I don't.
So
I
is
don't
it
know when it's
is it a full on prequel?
It is. It's a full-on prequel.
Wow.
I don't know how much I could really say.
That's okay. No,
I also don't want to ruin anything for anyone, but it is a prequel. His son is in it. That's
That's news that I knew.
yeah,
so
everyone
I
knows
know
that.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Um,
I like it when those actors' sons do that. It's like when Straight Outta Compton, how Ice Cube's son
Yeah.
played in that movie. And I was like, oh man, what a great pick! Like,
Or Lawrence Fishburne's kid when he played the younger version of him in
Yep.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
That was one of the better.
I'm like, that's what great casting. You don't have to do anything for that.
Yeah.
As long as they can act good. And Ice Cube's kid's a great actor. And so
he?
is I it was so that's awesome, man. I like
Yeah.
that. That's cool. I actually really like The Sopranos too.
Did you know that Forrest Whitaker's slightly younger brother played a younger version of him in Mr. Holland's Opus?
I did not know that.
I discovered that the other day. Sorry,
You know-
that was just a random.
Did you know that Lawrence Fishburne's daughter probably won't play any version of him in anything because she does porn mostly?
End up being Morpheus in the next Matrix flick.
You know, there's a new Matrix coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I'm
Yeah, I know.
tentatively excited about that.
With the now Wachowski sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's different.
That is.
Yeah, very different.
It's changed. Oh,
Very different.
also, I am genuinely really excited for Bill and Ted. I'm not gonna lie.
Yep.
I'm so excited for Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
Wasn't that released? Is it this week or last week?
It's this week.
It's
It's
this week.
This
Friday.
week. Friday, right?
I
Okay.
wasn't sure if it was this week or
28th, I
next
think.
week.
Yeah. I think what I'm going to have to do, because the first two movies are such a vague memory,
Mhm.
I'm going to have to go back and rewatch those. And maybe I'll do it like make it a family thing, watch it with the kids. Rewatch the first two, then go back and then go and watch the new
I'm
one.
gonna say I'll probably have to watch the original two also, but they are not a vague memory for me because I've seen
You've
this movie
watched
about a
them
million
recently.
times. Yeah.
It definitely lets you know why George Carlin never made it as an actor. As
Yeah.
I mean, he was probably the best stand-up we ever had, but holy shit, like
You know,
not
some of
an
his
actor.
best work has been in Kevin Smith stuff.
This is Lieutenant Van Halen. We have your keys. If you want them, come and get them. Such a good movie. God damn it. I can't wait.
His role in Jersey Girl was probably one of the better roles for as panned as that movie was.
Mhm.
Carlin's
That's not that bad
Carlin's-
of a movie.
it came on the heels of Gigli, and that's why it did so poorly.
It didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
It was too much Bennifer.
Yeah.
Because both Bennifers are in that fucking movie.
And I think she's the reason he's had as many substance abuse problems as he's had.
Which Jennifer?
No, Garner's not in that.
the
It's Liv
first
Tyler.
Oh,
The-
yuck, it is.
The
Yeah.
one with the
She's got a big ass now.
does she?
Liv Tyler?
Yeah.
Good for her.
She showed up on that 911. She's on the new 911 show with Rob Lowe.
Don't you speak ill of her. She's Eowyn.
Yeah. Well, maybe she. I don't know. She
I
but
got no emotional attachment to the
Is she
rings.
Eowyn or she Arwen? I can't remember.
I don't know.
I don't
Bruno's
know.
like,
fucking-
I don't watch those movies enough.
That's pretty much. I'm listening though. I'm listening.
It starts with an A and she's an elf.
She is an elf. I know that much. But yeah, I never got attached to the Lord of the Rings like everybody else.
My buddy's a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I like
Didn't they
whenever I want to troll him, I'm just like, yo, you know what's a terrible movie? The Lord of the Rings.
Fuck.
And he just gets
Howard,
mad.
are you what?
He just side eyes me.
Man, those movies they're a critical achievement though.
They
really.
were.
Yeah.
Just doing all of them at the same time where all those actors are so I mean, because like Harry Potter, I swear to God, you watch those first two movies and you're like, did he turn into a man in between these two movies? he's a little boy in that first movie. That second movie, he's got like a fucking Adam's apple, and he's like, but I'm but a boy of 12 years old.
did you see the Saturday Night Live skit where they have
Yeah,
what's her name?
Lindsay Lohan.
Lindsay Lohan
as
playing Hermione.
Yeah,
No.
And just like this big, just big rack.
Oh
And
man.
then she's playing her like maybe movie 3 or 4 or something
Yeah.
like that.
She was one
Supposed
of
to
my
be playing like 15.
favorites when she was younger.
Lohan? Yeah,
'cause
she
we're
was
like
good.
right at the same age-ish, I think.
yeah.
And
She's
and
a little
she
bit
was-
younger.
is
But
she?
yeah.
But she's in Mean Girls. That's an excellent movie.
That's a
Mean Girls is a
fantastic
great movie, but then her career just took a fucking tail dive.
All of those girls were well older than high school.
Rachel McAdams
Rachel McAdams was like,
our
30.
age. She's like our
Yeah.
age.
Isn't that so weird how like these like 20-year-olds play 17-year-old roles?
Yeah.
Like Saved by the Bell, the TV show.
Yeah.
They were definitely like all in their 20s
Oh yeah,
playing high schoolers.
yeah. Well, like I mean, in Spider-Man, like Joe Manganiello played a high schooler. He played Flash Thompson.
Yeah.
Dude was easily 30 years old in that movie. There's that scene where they go. There's that scene where they go. It's the scene where Peter Parker is bit by the spider. They all go to the museum, and their teacher is like this young black guy, and you're like, I'm pretty sure this teacher's younger than all of these dudes. James Franco has been 40 since he was 20.
Yeah.
Wasn't Ralph Macchio like 27, 28 or something when the first Karate Kid came out?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure he's
God,
older.
he looks
But he could-
like a little boy.
He could
though.
play like 25 now.
He's built like my son, and my son is 12. Like,
Oh, that's so good. But I'm pretty sure that was the issue with like Happy Days, Ron Howard was like balding when the show was on.
yeah, but he started balding when he was like just finishing up the Andy Griffith show. He's fucking 11 years
Oh,
old.
shucks, Dad.
Starting to creep back.
Yeah. So like Lord of the Rings, they did all those movies the exact same time. They filled them all. So he was like, I'm pretty sure Elijah Wood was 18 when they started filming those movies.
He was at least maybe 19, but I think you're right. I think you're probably right. He's
He
young.
was just a young kid filming those movies, and then like Harry Potter, between 1 and 2, is however long it takes to get a movie going. In between, I mean, I feel like now
they churn those out pretty fast. The first
Yeah.
few of them, and then after that, it slowed to like one every 2 years because I think the production just got more and more involved.
I mean, now they'll expedite movies though, right? Because they'll go, the first movie will come out and they'll go, we just got to prove we're doing a second movie. Like they'll say it before it even gets to theaters. We're doing a second movie.
Yeah, I mean, they milk that cow as much as they can. If it makes money, they're gonna keep making it.
Yeah. So it's pretty incredible. But
Elijah Wood's a month younger than I am.
nice.
Wow.
So yeah, Elijah Wood was a kid when they started filming those. I think Sean Astin was he was way older than.
He was about 30 by then, I think.
Yeah.
Because he was old. But
he still got a baby face.
Yeah.
Even now. A little bit.
Elijah Wood's film debut was Back to the Future Part 2.
Oh, yeah. He's the kid with the
love that
hat.
movie. Yeah.
I thought it was Flipper. I'm just kidding. I knew it wasn't Flipper. But I have seen Flipper.
He's Flipper.
Paul-
Faster than
Paul Hogan was in Flipper.
Paul Hogan should be in everything.
He was in Flipper.
He's a
I'm pretty
goddamn
sure.
national treasure.
They're like,
for
Paul, do you
Australia.
want to be in Flipper? And he's like, can I talk about how much I hate gay people in it? And they're like, no, probably don't do that. And he's like, well, I'll still be in it.
Well, I'm gonna do it anyway.
They're like, also, Paul, you're not Australian. Why are you still talking like that? He's like, wow, this is how I talk now.
Isn't he Australian? I'm
I
pretty
thought
sure
he
he
was.
Is he? I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Why do you just make things up?
Well,
guessing.
I didn't make up the anti-gay stuff.
He really doesn't like the gays.
He really does not like gay people. That's a real thing.
Yeah, let me look him up too. I'm pretty sure.
So, Bruno, do you work on any television shows too, or just?
Yeah, no, I do. Like before, you had asked if I've worked on period pieces, and I was going to say I've worked on Pose, which is the FX show about the transgender community. So it's like it revolves around the '80s ballroom scene, which is like this, like ballroom. They would rent these ballrooms and do their own little modeling competitions, and that it takes place in the '80s. So we're shooting 2019, 2018 to play for the '80s. So a lot of old cars, a lot of covering things, making sure things fit a certain period.
So, when you're doing, I think I've seen this done before in like 24 and stuff, but they build like a whole facade for a background sometimes. Do you guys have that?
Not in New York. We don't do that too much. You see that more done in LA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to replicate somewhere.
Right. And like they also have the space for it. They have way more space where they can just, they can build a whole facade. You don't see that happen as much. Like, what are some cool things I've done? So like we shot in this house in Midtown on the Upper East Side, and we covered the front windows with this huge green screen. I'm talking about like a 40-foot green screen. and then the scene was from inside the house, and we changed the furniture to look like you're in Paris, and then the green screen was green screened into the Eiffel Tower. So it's like you're in Paris. And funny enough, it was supposed to be a porn scene. So it's like it was a porn scene. Like you don't actually see any kind of nudity or anything, but it's like the beginning of a porn scene.
Continuity down.
Yeah. It was for The Detour. It was the TV show The Detour. I don't know if you guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I worked on season 2.
Very nice.
That's the one with. Is that the Samantha Bee one?
Yeah.
Samantha Bee's husband. So
Yeah. I like that show. That's fun.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. It's like the oh man, now I'm like blanking out on his name. He does the Christmas movie.
Yeah, he looks like that guy. Yeah, I can't remember.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. Like I'm trying to
friend.
the storyline is kind of like, forget it. I'm not even going to go on because it's so vague that I can't even describe what I'm trying to describe.
It's a pretty good show though.
It is pretty fun.
Was that a TBS show?
That's a TBS.
Yeah, TBS.
The TBS hits it sometime. Like that show.
They do.
We watched Wrecked. That was only 3 seasons, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I think TBS just suffers from being TBS.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, a lot of that is just being.
Any other
that's where I
TV?
saw most to say by
You
the
said
bell.
you do some TV shows.
Yeah. I do some TV. I do primarily TV because that's the majority of stuff here is TV. So let's see. I've done The Detour. I've done Pose. I worked on a little bit of Quantico season 2. I worked on the tail end of The Good Wife, right when they ended the show. I worked on Neon Joe Werewolf Hunter, which is a comedy. Well, was a Comedy Central. No, Comedy.
That just sounds awesome.
It's with John Glazer, I think is his name.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
John Glazer. Yes, it's with John Glazer.
He played Jeremy Jam, right? He's
exactly.
That dude. That dude is so underrated. He's actually like a showrunner and writer for a ton of Adult Swim shows.
Really?
Oh yes.
Like a ton of them.
Didn't he do Aqua Teen?
He's one of the guys that. So him and that guy Starburns on Community.
Yeah, that dude's that dude's behind the scenes on everything.
Yeah, he's on like a ton of mostly Adult Swim. John Glazer did that show on Adult Swim though. The one where they're wearing like the ski masks and they're like, God, I can't remember. They're like I think they get relocated or whatever. Like a
witness protection.
Yeah,
thing?
like witness protection, and he gets like moved, and his voice is like he has a voice changer on. And he does the whole show wearing like a ski mask. That dude's fucking hilarious though.
Yeah,
John Glazer.
Before I found what I was National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. That's what I was trying to associate with The Detour. Like it's the same style of.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Show. Yeah.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. That's cool. That John Glazer. I'll have to check that one out. He's hilarious though.
It's weird. Like I had never heard of the show, and then like a few people. Like the people who know the show and watch it are super fans. It's that kind of show. I think it went for 2 or 3. You got jammed.
You got jammed.
Other than that, I've done like some. I've done primarily. I try to do movies. That's what I really want to do. So
we watched Parks and Recs, and my wife hated Jeremy Jam until I pointed out to her that all the shows that she liked on Cartoon Network were like his baby. Like
I think like that makes me hate Jeremy Jam any less though.
No,
Jam is a piece of shit.
He is, but like I was like, man, like dude, this guy's hilarious though. He does so many shows. I think he might be. I can't remember what he does, or at least did. He did. So she's a huge fan of like Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell, which is I can't remember his name, but one of the guys on there is like he's on Last Podcast on the Left, which is like a wildly popular podcast.
Yeah, it is.
Worth listening to. It's hilarious.
Didn't they move over to something exclusively like Stitcher or something?
They're on.
I know I quit.
They're on
listening to them for a reason.
Spotify. They're
Maybe
on
that's what it was.
Spotify exclusively, but then also you can watch their streams on Adult Swim
Mm.
because one of the guys on there is on Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell, so he does a bunch of stuff. God, I can't think of his name. I can never think of his name, but small little Polish guy. I can't remember.
Have you guys spoken about Rick and Morty? Do you guys watch that?
Oh, I love Rick
I
and
know.
Morty.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a good show.
yeah, it's a great show.
Solid.
It's funny because it's like the fan base sucks, but fans of everything are terrible.
Yeah,
But it lives up to every bit of hype that it should.
agreed.
Yeah, I think it's one of the smarter shows that's out there, but it's one of like Derek said, it's like the fan base is really terrible. So I always try to like enjoy it from the periphery. It's like I got to enjoy it, but I can't get too fucking up my own ass about it. I just have to be like, okay, it's good, I like it, and then move on from there. I mean, yeah, I've gotten my kids watching it, which is probably not like the best parent move, but
That's fine.
How old are your kids now, War?
they're 12. My boys are 12 and 14.
Hmm.
So, but and then my
They're getting that age.
Yeah.
That age.
I mean, they're gonna look at worse stuff. So you might
At
as well.
that age, yeah, for sure.
I mean, I think at 15 is when I started.
I was
I'm trying to-
14 when I watched Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
So
Dude, I was 6 or 7 when I saw Nudie Mags.
yeah, we had one on the mountain that it was like buried under pine needles that we'd go up and like unbury it and look at it. And we wouldn't do anything, but
Right, exactly.
So I think like my Rick and Morty, I think for that age though, is I've been watching South Park since it came out, and I never quit watching it. Like I still watch South Park, and I like we're rewatching them now on HBO Max, which is awesome that they're all on there.
That show is a technical feat, man.
God, that show's incredible.
They do it in like 24 to 36 hours.
Yeah. Well, and the
they-
fact that the shows that they've done have still. We just watched the episode where Obama wins the presidency. So it's 2008. The show is aged so well. Even that episode is still so funny about how they overreact by him winning, and how the world's just gonna the McCain supporters think the world's gonna turn into like a nuclear holocaust, and they like go into an arc, and all the people who celebrate like drink themselves to death basically, like from partying. And it ages so well. Like, man, that show is incredible. And who knew that it was going to be as popular as it has? I mean, now I think on the last season they just had at the end of every episode it was like hashtag canceled. Like they were trying to get canceled because I don't think they want to do it anymore. And it's still like.
People keep watching. They spit in the face of the cancel culture,
right?
And
then Comedy Central, Comedy Central is like, no, we're not canceling you. Like, if you want to be done, you got to quit, motherfucker. You're doing this show. Like, you got to do it. There's too many people that love it.
Jake says Dan Harmon has a Dungeons and Dragons show called Harmon Quest. It is great. I've heard that my Jason, who watches the show and has been on the show, my brother-in-law, he watched that show, but I think Harmon quit doing that so that he could do like weird woodworking projects on Instagram for a while.
I was reading Jake's comment, and it actually reminded me of Justin Roiland has a new show called Solar Opposites.
Oh, Solar
it's
Opposites
great.
is awesome.
You guys, I haven't seen it. It sounds really good.
Watch
it's
it.
good.
It's really
Okay,
good.
good.
Yeah.
I'm putting it on my
it's
to-watch
incredible.
list.
Look past the fact that the main alien guy sounds a lot like Rick.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I'm of the mind that like I can't get enough Rick, so I'm like, no, give it to me. So I don't really care, but there's some great stuff in there.
Well, and they've added he's added other cast members, so he's not doing the only 2 voices on the show. Like, he's added some other cast members to kind of help bolster that up a little bit.
Well, yeah,
like
cast members
Tom,
for
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's you tell he's not doing all the heavy lifting on it though. Like
right. He's
added,
got
like,
that guy from
added like Thomas Middlestitch on there,
and the kid from Goldberg.
the kid from Goldberg. So it's doing some of the work for him, but the show's still it's really funny.
I gotta watch it.
I love Rick and
Dude,
Morty.
let me know what you think of it because
I will for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I love Rick and Morty. I love some of the side characters almost more. Like I love Jerry so much. I love Chris Parnell so much. And Chris. So ironically enough, so Chris Parnell. So my favorite character on Archer is actually his character on Archer as well. Like I think Chris Parnell just plays Chris Parnell on shows, and his voice is so like kind of goofy. His voice is that it just plays so well.
I'm pretty sure he's one of those guys that got let go from SNL. If I remember the storyline right, he got he didn't get his contract renewed, which I thought was a damn shame because he was like at the height of his game on that show. Like I think maybe it has to have something to do with salary or what they're getting paid.
It could be a million things, man. I mean, but it's crazy why shows even keep going or why they stop. It's so much politics involved. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, it's like Taron Killam got let go from SNL, and he was like one of the best things on the show at the time.
Well, I mean, how about the fact that not Saturday Night Live, but I feel like I was talking about this with my wife last night. I'm like, I feel like Joel McHale has a hard time keeping any show he does alive, and I think Joel McHale's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I'm a diehard Joel McHale fan. Like I was a huge. Also, I'll preface by saying that I'm a huge. I love The Soup a lot. Like it's one of my favorite shows. The new show's not the best one, but I mean, like I think Joel McHale's hilarious. I thought Community was a great show.
Yeah.
But, man, the guy I think he just has the hell of a time keeping a show for whatever reason.
Yeah, I always thought he was a little, because I'd seen him on The Soup a few times. I always thought he was like a little weenie guy, like I am, or like the other dude that does the.
He's like 6'4". He played college football or something like that.
He's a great big fucking dude.
He's 6'5" and he played tight end for UW.
And he's in crazy shape.
Yeah, he's in. Yeah.
And,
wait, how tall are you, Huz?
5'9". I thought he was a little weenie.
And you think that's weenie? I'm 5'7", dude. I'm
like, these guys are both like 6.
Yeah, I know they're pretty tall.
In the defense of him saying weenie, though, I've heard, this is a thing I've heard, Bruno. I don't know if it's true, but I've heard from people who are my friends who move to this area from anywhere else in the country, that people move to like the Northwest, and they think that this area of the country is like the biggest area, like as far
Probably.
as like people from the Northwest tend to be, it does feel that way sometimes. Like people from the Northwest seem to be a little taller. Like one of my friends,
you guys are all descendants of Vikings,
right? So one of my friends moved here. She's from like Southern California, and she's a tiny Hispanic girl.
Oh man!
And her husband is also Hispanic, and he's also very short.
5 foot nothing.
Oh yeah, she said when her mom came to visit her from SoCal, she came up here and was like,
"Why is everybody so goddamn big?"
I guess like the first thing she said was like Jesus Christ, like what are they feeding people? Like, and then I guess the second thing she asked her was like, how come you didn't find one of these guys around here? Which was so horrible to her husband.
Why didn't you try and hammer this short shit out of our fucking jeans?
Right. Because we're all like corn fed, like potato fed,
it's
like
the goddamn lentils.
It's the lentils, yeah.
It's the lentils from up on the hill.
I think it's from Hanford.
No, I'm not, Jenny. I'm not.
Just blowing up your spot. You're 5'8.5", all right? That's practically 5'9".
My second child, so she can talk shit.
I was 6'1" forever. Then one day somebody measured me at 6'2". I'm like, I'll take it. And then, but I think I'm 6'1".
Yeah, I
wonder how much
6'3". Yeah.
Yeah, every other month in the Army, I got height.
I wonder how much it has to do with like maybe your environment. Like I guess maybe living on the Northwest, you just need bigger bodies. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah,
Maybe
it
the
can't be air
mountains, or-
quality
It can't be.
because potlatches.
Maybe
Well, I didn't
it is.
grow up here.
Maybe.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
sure,
you're
that's true, yeah.
Montana bred, huh?
Yeah.
This is my.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So I guess maybe I don't know. It is interesting. I mean, and maybe it could be. I mean, you said the Viking thing. I mean, maybe it could be descendant
Right.
where people
Who
end up.
knows? Right.
Like, people end up like, I know we have. There's a lot of Germans here.
Yeah.
A lot of.
I mean, if you look at like the distribution of Europe, right? The northern countries where it's colder, you tend to find taller people.
Yeah.
And in the southern countries where it's warmer, you tend to find shorter people.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So, that's probably, I'm sure it has something to do with it.
But you're 5'7", so typically you could be the biggest star. You could be the biggest star in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Literally.
Tom Cruise is like 5'6".
I was gonna say you're like a foot taller than
You look down at him.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I worked with him on what was that alien movie with Steven Spielberg, War of the Worlds? Yeah.
nice.
I was an extra on that when I was like 16, 17.
Oh,
nice. I don't think I'd fight Tom Cruise though. Like, there's a bunch of people that I would, but I don't think I'd fight Tom Cruise.
No.
Like,
I think he actually knows how to fight.
He's had
Yeah.
some training
Yeah.
along the way.
yeah. Have you seen the extras for Collateral? Like the DVD extras?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
not just a guy that does
Like-
this.
Yeah, he'll kill you.
They don't swap him out with a body double.
No, he refuses.
Yeah. That
well-
scene in Fallout where he breaks his ankle is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Because if you know to look for it, you can watch it break his ankle, and it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, good God. And then he runs another like 50 feet.
Yeah,
Like, I'm
I'd have quit the movie.
pretty proud of my personal pain tolerance because I've been through some shit. But wow, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have kept running after breaking my ankle.
Well, because I've also heard that filming. So actually, because I listened to the last podcast on the left, so Ben Kissel's on that show, and he's an actor also. He does. I think he's 6'4" or 6'5", and they talk about how he has. It's Henry Zabrowski and Ben Kissel are the two hosts on the show. Henry Zabrowski's like 5'6", and then Ben Kissel's like 6'5", and they talk about, like, Ben Kissel talks about how it's hard to get movie roles at his height because he's not ideal for movies because he's too tall to be in.
Yeah,
It's-
he
it's
couldn't be
hard
with
to
Sylvester
film.
Stallone, or he couldn't be with.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember reading some comment from Arnold Schwarzenegger. Chris Pratt married his daughter,
Mhm.
and he's like, she went out and found somebody bigger and better looking than me. Like, well, how tall is Arnold? Is he just like an even 6? Because he's a big dude.
Yeah,
But-
I don't know.
I feel like he's shorter.
Yeah, I know Stallone's not very tall. So they do like these movies, and then so like Ben Kissel was talking about how like he tried to get like he's auditioned for tons of stuff and he can never find movie roles because they'll tell like, oh, you're way too tall. Like he said there was one podcast I listened to where he walked into
He's 6'2".
Arnold. So yeah, he's pretty tall.
That's
like,
pretty tall, yeah.
That's
How
crazy.
tall is Chris Pratt then?
Chris Pratt's pretty tall.
Stallone's my height.
So like Stallone went into, or I'm not
6'2".
Oh,
But-
6'2" also, yeah.
But Schwarzenegger's shrunk by now.
yeah. I'm
Oh
sure
yeah,
he
he's
has.
like 70, huh?
So Ben Kissel went into an interview or went into an audition once, and while he was waiting in there, they came out there and they're like, "Nah, we're not going to need you," because he was just too tall. And maybe that's why Joel McHale has a hard time finding work.
Could
Maybe
be.
that is. Maybe he's just too tall.
Because
He just needs to stand in front of a green screen.
6'5", he's huge.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard of
Green
Chris Pratt's story on one of the Parks and Rec episodes where he was butt naked?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Such an epic story.
that's so funny.
I don't know that story. Tell that story.
So it was a scene where he shows up at his character's wife's house, and Amy Poehler's character is there. I'm bad with names, so Amy Poehler's character is there, and she opens the door, and he's supposed to be naked, right? And she's supposed to make like a surprise face, but he had like a skin suit on, so his privates were covered. And I guess the director wasn't getting the right reaction out of Amy. So at one point, he turns to the sound guy and he goes, "Yo, I'm gonna go butt naked right now." And the sound guy's like, "Do it." So he does it, and he goes, drops trowel, knocks on the door. Everything's just hanging loose, and Amy is legit surprised.
Yeah.
She is legit surprised. It's the cut that they used. It's the shot they used on the show.
That's hilarious.
What and the best part is he got a letter from the director saying, "This is not a joke. Don't make this out to be a joke. You are on fucking notice. Like, you cannot do that ever again." And he framed it and made a joke out of it.
Yeah. NBC put out isn't that NBC SHOT Show, I believe?
I think so.
And they put out a notice to the whole crew, like they had to say something about that.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah,
His outtakes are really good on that show too, man.
They really are.
He can improv so good, and if you watch the outtakes on it, like they're all over YouTube, like his stuff is so good that everybody just dies. There's like the one clip where we're talking about the comeback story. He's like, "Oh, like Kim Kardashian," and they're like, "No, not Kim Kardashian." He's like, "Well, I thought it was a comeback. I mean, she gets like cum all over her back in that video." That guy who plays Jerry just fucking loses it.
Dude, that show is so good. Parks and Rec is so classic, man.
Yeah, once they find their stride about halfway through season 1.
Yeah.
A lot of people say it's a little later, but I think those first couple episodes before Ron Swanson really knew who he was.
That's a solid show. It's a better show than 30 Rock.
I think so. Yeah.
I enjoyed some of 30 Rock, but it's not
inconsistent.
Even close to the same.
At best, it's inconsistent.
I'm not a big 30 Rock guy.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Rip Torn was genius.
Alec Baldwin's stuff was decent in it, but it wasn't. But the storylines just weren't that engaging.
Alec Baldwin's best stuff was with Will Arnett, though.
No,
like they're back and forth.
Yeah,
it's really good because they both have play on the fact that they have like those low voices and they like keep getting lower and lower, and then it gets gayer and gayer. Like everything they say to each other is
that should have played Batman at some point when he was younger. I know he played the Shadow, but I think he would have done really, really well.
Oh yeah, he would have been a good Batman. Yeah.
But I wouldn't trade Keaton.
Eric Barwin. That's a little.
It's always duos. Duos always like come out with good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like we spoke about The Rock and Kevin Hart. Like they're a good duo. Like now, who are you talking about? Alec Baldwin and who else? And
Will Arnett.
Will Arnett. And like you have Will. Oh my God, from Anchorman. What's his name?
Ferrell.
Will Ferrell and the dude from Step Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Like they make a good duo. Yeah,
they're great.
They're amazing.
Metallica Nights is so good.
Yeah, right.
Really good actors too.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
They don't just have to play those stupid roles that they do really well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them have got a couple of dramatic.
I keep wanting to watch that Stan and Ollie one that Riley's in.
Oh yeah,
I guess it's supposed to be great.
My grandpa raves about it. He's watched it probably 16 times this year. And every time he says, you watch Stan and Ollie yet? I said, no, I don't have any desire. Like I don't care.
It feels like one I have to be in like a really like I need to be in a heartfelt mood to enjoy it.
I just need to be in a mood to watch a movie anymore. Like I sit down to watch them and I fall asleep, and so I won't turn on anything I haven't seen. So I end up like turning on Devil's Advocate like every night and falling asleep to that.
Oh,
yeah.
That's what
having the nicest of dreams.
Yeah.
What's the oldest movie you guys have ever watched?
Oh gosh, I've watched a lot of like John Wayne movies. So
that's like 40s, right? 40s, 50s? No.
Well, 40s, 50s, 60s. He had a real prominent run in the 60s with the John Ford movies and stuff. Probably, I mean, Wizard of Oz is 39, but then I want to say Citizen Kane was 41. if I remember right. And
Metropolis.
that was a really good one. That's probably
41. Citizen Kane is 41.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Citizen Kane is that's a classic. That's that Casablanca. You know, have you guys seen Casablanca? That's 42.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't think it holds up.
Have you guys?
Lots
Have you
of people
guys?
say it's like the best movie that's ever been made, but I'm like, I don't think it holds up. It just like I don't connect with Humphrey Bogart.
I think some
Different
Ingrid
times.
is hot though. She's a good-looking woman.
I think that some acting doesn't hold up to the acting of today. Like actors weren't as good. Like you watch Jimmy Stewart in a movie, he's not that good of an actor.
No.
Yeah. I mean, the craft definitely evolved over the years.
Right. Well, but there's good stuff he's been in. Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, good movie.
Yeah, that was.
There's a handful of good stuff that he's been in, but
Five Goes West.
That's the oldest movie you've seen?
No, that's a movie that Jimmy Stewart was in. He's
didn't even know
he's
he
the
was in
old hound dog, the old sheriff.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta give him the lazy eye.
I did not know
man,
that.
the oldest movie, man. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I've seen a lot of those movies. It's just I don't retain any of the information from them. Like I always hated the Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz, they showed on in our cafeteria when I was a kid, when I was like 6 years old, and it made me cry because the fucking flying monkeys scared the shit out of me.
Really?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was frightening. The lights were off in the theater, and then you have a bitch that's like in second grade behind me making fun of me. So that doesn't help my cause. Oh, you big baby! Oh, what a little baby! Oh.
I had to look it up.
Soccer right in the teeth.
Yeah.
Nosferatu from 1922.
Oh,
the
was that?
oldest one I saw.
Yeah.
And I've seen both the original version and the one that Typo Negative did a play over of. Like they just put their music to the show. It's something to see. I don't know if I prefer it, but it was interesting. But yeah, that I had to look it up to make sure that was the oldest one.
Citizen Kane for me was an assignment to watch, and as part of like my theater.
When was that?
I watched it probably 90.
No, when was it?
41.
Was it 1941?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Rosebud.
I really liked it. I mean, I think that Orson Welles has done some better stuff. There's some
Godzilla.
I don't remember Godzilla.
They inserted him over it. Like they had the movie playing in the back, and he was like,
All right.
cut some scenes into it. This American version of Godzilla.
I could say definitively the oldest movie I've seen is Modern Times with Charlie Chaplin. Because I just delved into what you said, and I took a film class in college, and he had us watch Modern Times.
Was it Sean Cassidy?
No, because he's a piece of shit.
1936.
1936. Yeah, no, it was
I hated Sean
it was
Cassidy.
Louis Sylvester.
Oh yeah, I wish I'd had Louis Sylvester.
No, he was fantastic.
Sean Cassidy's like a shit on your dreams kind of.
Some of that Chaplin stuff is amazing.
Sean Cassidy, I don't like.
No, yeah, hey Sean Cassidy, you're a piece of shit. He's still teaching there too. I hope he hears this. I don't care.
I'm going on sabbatical.
He's a piece of shit.
He's a dick.
Louis
Don't
Sylvester teaches that. Louis Sylvester teaches there now, and he eventually got those film classes. And the first movie we watched, because we did it in like chronological order, so we did Modern Times with Charlie Chaplin. That's the oldest movie I'd ever seen. I had never seen any. I mean, I knew who Charlie Chaplin was, but I never watched any of those movies. I did not think I was going to like it because I'm not somebody who like on purpose watches old movies, and that is actually a great movie. It's really good.
There's a lot of really good Chaplin movies.
Man, some of that stuff that he does in the movie though, it's like fucking incredible.
Yeah. And Buster Keaton, have you seen some of his stunt work?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So since then I've seen like silent movies that I've seen some of the stunts that they did where it's just like, wow, like how do these people not die?
Well, and have you seen that one where they break down that Chaplin scene where he's going to drop over the edge?
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's in Modern Times.
It's all painted on it's all painted on glass that they put up.
Yeah.
So what a great effect.
Yeah.
Movie magic, man. I'm always
That's in Modern
stuff.
Times. And then he did I think it's in Modern Times, maybe. That might have been in the. What did he did? There's another one that's like The Immigrant too, right? Or the.
And then there's some of those old Marx Brothers movies.
Yeah,
those are interesting.
Those are good
And
stuff.
I went through a period where I revisit a lot of stuff through the 70s, and like even the 60s. Some of Paul Newman's filmography is pretty decent. Cool Hand Luke was good.
Yeah, I watched that.
That class.
Taking a piss, boss. Taking a piss.
3 Days of the Condor with Robert Redford. That was one I watched a few years ago with my dad.
Boss.
That's a good one too.
Shirts off.
What about you, Bruno?
Shirts off, boss.
I think I've seen some stuff from the 20s, but I don't really remember the names or anything like that.
What period speaks to you?
Probably the 90s.
The 90s.
That's like what I grew up on,
Yeah.
It's also arguably some of the best movies came out in the 90s.
Well, I mean, Pulp Fiction's the one that kind of broke me into the I was writing scripts when I was in high school because of Pulp Fiction, because I was like, Quentin Tarantino worked at a video store. And so
I've seen
too. I was like, I need to go work at a video store, and then so I
follow that footsteps, those footsteps.
Yeah. I never got a job at a video store though, by the way. It's harder than you think.
I did.
I think you may have dodged the bullet on that one.
Yeah.
I did watch The Tramp with Charlie Chaplin, and that's 1915.
Was it?
Oh
really?
wow!
Oh, maybe that's the oldest movie I've seen.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen anything from.
Actually, getting a job at a video store is a tough thing to do. I applied for Hastings Book and Game here about 1,000 times and could not get a job there. I got an interview finally one time at Hastings, and then walked away, and I didn't get an interview.
They're
there.
like, "What's that smell?
I was
Irish Spring?"
Yeah, I was like,
"Oh, you use soap? I'm sorry, you can't."
Yeah, I seriously went in there like the next week, and I'm like, you hired this piece of shit instead of.
Yeah, he knows the names of all of the bounty hunters in Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
You only knew 5 out of 7.
Yeah,
so
Jesus, man.
I don't even know if those numbers are right.
I couldn't pay to get a job there, and I really wanted a job there too. And I actually my wife tells a similar story. She applied there several times because she loved Hastings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I applied at Hastings.
It was one
also,
of the only places to get a lot of different stuff.
But every time I'd go in, there's like the dirtiest of the dirtiest, gross people working there.
Probably a blessing, though, Bruno. I think
you're probably on. You've hit something.
Yeah. Probably nice to not have gotten a job in any of those places.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Because you would be, you'd really be typecasted playing a piece of shit for the rest of your life.
Now we have a podcast you can find on your BlackBerry.
You have to make sure you have Bruno's BlackBerry from 12 years ago.
Exactly. It wasn't even like the cool BlackBerry. It was like the shitty BlackBerry that nobody wanted. The Pearl, which was like the slimmer one.
The slim one, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one with the little roll ball on it? I had that one.
Yeah, had a little roll ball. That was the selling point of the BlackBerry.
I had the one that was like this shape, and then
it was a little more square, right? You went wider. Yeah, I had that afterwards. I got rid of the Pearl, and I ended up getting that.
Oh, I had the vertical one, not a horizontal one. So it was like my keypad was like
it was on the bottom.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what. I mean, I've been on iPhone ever since BlackBerry, but I still miss the BlackBerry keyboard.
I've heard that
the physical keys. There's nothing like it, man.
I can agree with that. I think.
Yeah. My first phone was
also on an iPhone
LG Envy, and it flipped open. It had the normal keypad, but then on the inside it had a full keyboard.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That was my first phone. It lasted like 3 years, and then I got like the next version, and maybe the next. Dude. And then I switched over to iPhone. And
dude, I used a Moto Razr for way too long. And like I was that friend that got made fun of for using the Moto Razr. And I was like, I was adamant against switching though. I was like, dude, this phone works. I don't care.
And it was fragile as fuck.
It really was.
So what are you guys? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, and that was my point. I used it for way too long. Should not have been using it. Like couldn't get service on it at a certain point, and then finally it broke.
So everybody here is an iPhone user.
Not anymore.
You aren't. Okay,
No,
so I was
my
gonna.
most recent one is the cheapest one you can possibly get.
What do you have now?
I don't know.
Is it a Samsung thing?
So you're the text destroyer. You're the one with the green texts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it says-
you fucked up my iMessage.
That's right. That's right. Everyone outside of the iPhone realm gives you the green bubbles instead of the blue
I
bubbles.
still use the pad though.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I'm not completely out of the eye.
The iWorld.
I use Facebook Messenger almost as much as I use my
Yeah.
texting, though.
Really?
Well, we do for the show most of the time,
Yeah.
so it's my primary use for the show, and I don't really text much other than my dad and my wife.
And on all 3 shows that I do, we have a group chat going, and all of them are on Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, I think the only people I text anymore are Mom and Jenny.
Yeah. See, I don't have a big text.
I text a lot. I
But-
rarely use Facebook Messenger.
So yeah, so getting on to text to message me is like kind of an act of Congress because how do I use this again?
I use a lot of WhatsApp because
I use WhatsApp with my
'cause-
my brother-in-law is in the military, and so he thinks it's extra secure.
It is.
it is like a little more encrypted, but there's another app that's even
But also
more
Facebook owns
encrypted.
it, so
Right.
Fuck
So-
Mark Zuckerberg.
A few people have been leaving WhatsApp to go to an app called Signal, I think it is, or Telegram, one of those two. They're also encrypted. One of them is made by the guy who created WhatsApp. And he just left WhatsApp and he's doing this now. So it's like just as secure or more secure than WhatsApp, but it's not owned by a big corporate company. Yeah, exactly.
I can't keep up.
I know, there's a lot of them.
So how likely would any of you, like you, Bruno, you, Derek, to jump ship with iPhone and go to like say a Samsung at some point?
Well,
I tried.
I think it would have to be a huge change in their iOS for me to leave.
Yeah.
I want to go back.
Do you? I've been using it for fucking nearly almost 10 years now.
I know
About 9 years.
People cut down
And
Apple
so-
products all the time, but I don't mind them. Like my buddy Josh came over the other day, and we took my fucking 10-year-old iMac apart and put a solid state hard drive and 2 more memory chips.
The
in it. It's
iPhone.
fucking
Here's
running like a
here's
champ.
our viral clip. The iPhone 12. They're already advertising the iPhone 12, and
Yeah.
there's memes already out there for iPhone 6. Or basically people like trying to figure out the iPhone 12 stuff using in their iPhone 6, and the iPhone 6 held up for a long time. The only reason I don't have mine is because my screen like glitched out on me, and then I moved on to like
Could you not touch?
SE.
Could you not? Would it not like register anything?
It started
that's
doing
why
a weird
I got
pixel
rid of
thing
mine.
after like 4 years.
Oh yeah, mine it wouldn't pick up any touching, and so I was like, well,
So I think I'm on iPhone 8 right now. And I think that when my phone dies, I'd probably that's one. So one thing I do like about iPhone is that because they're advertising iPhone 12 right now, like I'll go to iPhone 10, like
Yeah,
and I'll be like,
you
this
can
is-
stay a couple
I'll be
models
like,
behind.
this is pretty
Yeah.
new, like because I'm using iPhone 8 and it can use it for a long time.
Well, I just picked up the SE, which is it's basically got the 11 guts with an 8 body.
see, I might just
It's a-
end up getting an iPod Touch again
Yeah,
because that had all of the functionality of my phone.
Do they still sell iPod touches?
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
yeah.
wow.
Oh wow. Okay.
I don't think they're keeping up.
Right.
I think it's a couple of iterations of the chip back.
Yeah, we bought some when Shopko was closing.
hmm
We bought some old iPad minis that they had. Like, we made a mistake because they were on sale. So I was like, iPads are expensive.
Mhm.
We better buy these because they were trying to clearance out their shit. And so they sold all those. They were selling them really cheap. I don't even remember what it was, but I was like, that's a fucking deal. But I get it home and I'm like, oh, this is a couple generations back because they just were like, they were new,
hmm
but they were shit that they like didn't sell at the time that they had them on the shelves, and so then they rolled them into the back warehouse somewhere.
Yeah.
And so as they're clearing out all their stores, they're shipping them to places that they can push them out.
Yeah.
And so we bought like three of them, and maybe even we bought 3 of them. So I use one, but the only app I can use on it for like streaming is Netflix, but I have to do it in a roundabout way and download the old version of Netflix. I can't. The operating system is like 5 operating systems ago.
Yeah, they stopped. Mine just told me I have another fucking update to like 13.7 or something.
Yeah, my I have like I think the original iPad Mini, and it just cut me off on the iOSs now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like no more.
Yeah, my iMac, I can't get the newest not iOS. What the fuck is it?
Yeah, Mac OS, the newest Mac OS. OS X, OS X, yeah.
You're too old.
My iPhone 4, the iOS is what ended my iPhone 4 for me.
Yeah,
because I'll ride my phone
bothers
to the end, but it pisses me off when the iOS is what makes your phone end, because it's like, fuck you. You sold me something that has an expiration date.
Yeah.
This is like, should I just keep it in my fridge? Because
will that help? It'll probably help the battery last.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with Derek though. Like I'm running on the 7, and I'm just gonna ride this thing out, and then I'll just whatever is the latest one, I'll just buy 1 or 2 generations before that.
I'm telling you, the SE is the way to go, because it's like a cheaper version of the big deluxe. Like I don't need 4 cameras.
Yeah.
On my telephone.
I think my friend Patrick has the same phone. Like his screen's the same size as mine, but it goes all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom.
Yep.
So the phone's actually shorter and fits in his pocket like way more comfortably than mine does, because like the top of mine's black and the bottom of mine's black. So I'm like, oh, so when this phone dies, I'll get a phone that's smaller but the same size screen at least.
Right.
That's the stuff I think about. Like the camera stuff, I don't give a fuck about that. I don't care.
Dude, the cameras on the 7s and the 8s are good enough, man, for the average person.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff. I don't think I would ever switch. I don't know how much I like Apple stuff I will ever buy in the future, but I do feel like I've like Apple phones I'll probably stick with.
Same here. Yeah, like I had their MacBooks for a little while, then I sold it. I don't do the Mac computers anymore. They're overpriced. They're super expensive.
My wife got a MacBook because her associates is in graphic communication. She was going to use it, and then she ended up getting this MacBook that didn't work with this tablet that she had bought like for drawing.
Oh no.
So, and then I had just started grad school at the same time, so she was like, well, I already bought this fucking MacBook, like, do you want to use it for school? And I was like, well, no, I'm not really interested. But I also didn't have I also hadn't owned a personal computer for nearly 10 years. And I was like, oh man, I'm going to be in grad school. Like, I'm going to need a computer. Like, I honestly didn't even think about it. Dude, if you're not doing school and you don't do a ton of computer stuff, like, there's no reason to own a computer.
Yeah. How far into when we restarted the show was it before I finally broke down and bought a laptop?
Like forever.
After after the 10-year-old computer started not working very well.
So she offered me that MacBook. She's like, well, you might need it for grad school. You're gonna have to write papers and stuff. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, I am. Like, I didn't even think about it. I'm like, well, I have my phone. Like, I'm like, oh, they're online classes. Use my phone. She's like, you're gonna use your phone to write a paper. Oh fuck, no, I'm not gonna do that. So I ended up using I have this MacBook, which now of course, now I think about in terms of like writing a resume, like now on a resume, I can be like, oh yeah, like I'm comfortable with Apple products. Like I know how to use a MacBook enough to like function. But if I ever got a job that was like, hey, we only use Apple products, I'd be like, oh, I don't know if I could do it for a living. Like I don't know if I could just use a MacBook for like working. Because that's
too much.
Yeah. A Mac or a MacBook or an iMac even can be cumbersome for like I think Microsoft has their infrastructure set up on an operating system basis for working in an office setting.
Yeah.
Macs don't so much. Macs are like a more they're a creative tool. Cool. Fuck.
What did you do?
My new phone's waterproof, thankfully. Can you hand
Is
me a
it
paper
beer
towel?
proof?
It's because I stuck. Okay, so before the show started, about 30 minutes before the show started, I stuck all these beers in the freezer, and
Oh, it just exploded.
and it just started. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a frosty beverage. It's nice and like it's like drinking a slushy beer,
Yeah.
but it's a testament to the freezer because it hasn't really been that long, and it's got it chilled pretty good, obviously, because it's just like.
Yeah, mine's starting to ice up a little bit.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Careful.
So I have another question for you guys. What besides your own podcast, what other podcasts do you guys listen to, if any?
Let me pull up a list.
Oh, that's my type of guy right there. It's like, let me pull up my list of podcasts that I listen to.
Well, I'll go first because mine's probably the easiest because I listen to the least amount of podcasts, I think.
I don't know.
So the podcasts I listen to are because my wife will listen. My wife listens to podcasts all day long, so she'll send me. So that's how I started listening to Last Podcast on the Left, which again I do think it's worth looking into. It's hilarious. They talk about true crime but it's like Ben Kissel and Henry Zabrowski. They're hilarious. Otherwise. The stuff I really listen to is I still go old school and I listen to AM radio. I listen to sports stuff almost all day. I listen to the Dan Patrick Show and Rich Eisen like every single day.
Conservative AM radio was my like foot in the door to podcasting. It was at a certain point, conservative radio, like Michael Medved and that type of shit, hits a certain point of redundancy.
Mm-hmm.
So then you like start to look for other things. And so I went and I would start discovering these shows. And that it was at that point about 2008 when I decided that I wanted to I'm like, I could do this or I want to do this. Mm-hmm. And so I had a buddy of mine that I thought would be like interested in doing it. And I kind of used him as my, he got the website like started and stuff, and then like he bailed after like 3 episodes.
Oh.
and then so I was kind of stuck for about 4 months, and then I bought like a Websites for Dummies book and like started building like my own HTML and stuff. Like this is like I don't even know how prominent WordPress was at the time.
What year is this?
2008, early 2008.
Yeah, it's like not even existent.
It wasn't very prominent.
No.
It's what our site's built on now, which makes it super easy.
Super.
But at the time, I'm like writing HTML stuff, and I'm like going, and it's just like it's arduous and painful.
Cumbersome.
And then I had to create an RSS feed for the podcast. I still have the original RSS file from the original podcast. And because it was such a labor of love because you had to build it just so. And so then it was like each week was this copy and paste of the previous week and then rebuilding the show description for each episode. But so that's not the question you asked though, Bruno.
What do you listen to?
What do I listen to? Probably, and I don't listen very often to shows, and maybe it would benefit me more to listen more to other stuff to kind of just basically to kind of have a better idea of like what's relevant right now. But the one show I listen to a lot is Sword and Scale. I don't know if you've heard it's a true crime podcast hosted by Mike Bidet, and he actually was a listener of the Basement Boys original podcast way back when.
And he's named after an ass washer.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
He started the Sword and Scale podcast, and man, that show took off.
Yeah, it did.
It's got a huge following.
Yeah.
And
people love true crime.
I don't
Yeah.
think he's the host now, though, is he?
no, he is again.
He is again.
It got quote unquote taken away from him. He got
Yeah.
like canceled for a minute, but then he like
What?
basically
Did he
He
say
took the-
something about someone with a vagina?
yeah.
Yeah.
Essential. Yeah, he made some sort of like I posted something inappropriate that ended up kind of like canceling him, and because he was part of like this Wondery network, he was under an umbrella,
Oh.
and so basically after a period of time he moved out from under that umbrella and like struck out on his own and has been able to retake his show. It got really unpopular when the new because they had a female host take over,
Oops.
and his delivery style and his technique and how he's got a really dry kind of sarcastic sense of humor in terms of his delivery style, and so it really worked for the show. And so sometimes his opinion or his thoughts bleed through, and so that I know that creates a lot of animus with some listeners because they don't like people's opinions included in show content. But I like that show. I like it partially because I was like, I know who this guy is, and he used to be like he used to like art, like he listened to me talk, and now he's talking and doing and much more successful than I am. And like his show's been a big success.
Yeah.
And then
People have heard of him. They have not heard of us.
Right, yeah.
With the exception
Unless you have my BlackBerry.
Unless you have Bruno's BlackBerry.
BlackBerry from 2008.
He's got it in his hand.
My precious. That's a Hobbit callback because of
very good,
our Lord of the Rings talk earlier, right?
Yeah.
Very good.
And then I think the latest one I started listening to was the Back to the Future. I don't pick up a lot of podcasts lately. For some reason, I can't get engaged, and I have a desk job, so you'd think I'd be able to like listen to podcasts, but my desk job pulls my focus away so much of the time that I can't really focus on the podcast a lot.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times I'll have music on, or I'll have sometimes I'll have like a Netflix show going in the background, something that doesn't dedicate a lot of my attention or distract me.
Yeah.
Something you can tune out.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the podcasts I listen to now too are also, because it's evolved so much, have taken the form of actual shows on YouTube now, where there's video to go along with it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a huge follower of the channel Funhouse on YouTube, and they do a lot of like Let's Plays, and then they do podcasting also. But I'll play a lot of those in the background. But yeah, as far as like listening to podcasts, it's funny because I taught a podcasting class at the college here last semester, and it came part where it was like, oh, like what are some of the podcasts you listen to? The guy I taught the class with, he had a ton of podcasts that he listens to, and I was like, oh man, bad, like weird question. Like I don't listen to any really. And the students in the class were like, you're teaching a podcast class. I'm like, yeah, I'm teaching I do podcasts. Like that's why I'm teaching you. Like you don't watch it if you took a class in like filmmaking, you wouldn't want just a guy who's just like, oh, I watch
Only watches, right?
I watch movies, and now I'm gonna teach you how to make them.
Watched a lot of them.
Well, have you made any? No, I just watch them. I like watching movie.
So that's funny because I've been interacting with like a lot of different podcast groups lately to kind of like propel ourselves a little bit. So I interact with other podcasters and stuff. And so in doing that, I've gotten to see like an inside view of what like kind of an asshole I can be. Cause I'll get kind of cocky and I'll be like, I've been doing this for X amount of years. I'll go ahead and add in the 7 years that I wasn't podcasting. So I'm like, I've got 13 years of experience.
Well, you were in spirit for the years that you were still in spirit for the time spent poorly years sans you though.
Yeah, I mean, I was always kind of like a voyeuristic
we were still talking
role, and I'd interact a little bit.
because Nathan and I did that for a cool 5 years
Yeah,
at least.
it was. Yeah, I think it was like almost 5 years.
Yeah, because we quit doing those in
Just it only been like you'd only been off for a couple of years when I approached you.
right. Yeah,
I was pretty like far out of the game, and I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going back. And I'd been approached by an old listener probably a year or two before that, and he was like, "You guys need to start doing the show again." And I was like, I don't know. It's I go and then but yeah, if you go back, you can go back and listen to the first 10 episodes of the Basement Boys 2
and we kind of
podcast, and we kind of like chronologically go through the whole history there, and it's kind of it's fun, but
this is the second time Spent Poorly Network has been a thing though.
Yeah,
like the network itself.
Oh yeah,
because we could call this Time Spent Poorly 2 even as a network though.
Yeah,
but except for we have the domain, so we don't have to call it 2.
Yeah, we can call it what we want.
Right. Several shows though.
When we tried to get back basementboys.com, the reason we went with 2 was because it was going to cost me $777 to get the .com back, the original .com back, because
someone
the
stole it.
hosting service was squatting on it.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah,
one of the ones that I listen to is Crow 777 Radio 777. And that was what it was going to cost you to get the domain back. I've got a list of 13, one of which is this show. I don't actually listen to it most of the time, but I keep the subscription on because I don't like listening
Helps
to myself.
the algorithm.
I have a fucking
the algorithm.
Terrible voice.
It's fine.
I listen to NPR's Hidden Brain. That's one of the best ones I've found. I listened to WTF with Mark Maron. He gets some really good interviews, and he's a really good interviewer, but he spits his politics too much. Like, just interview, monkey. Bill Burr, I enjoyed the Monday Morning Podcast a lot. And I listened to the one he does with Bert Kreischer, too, the Bill Burt Podcast. That one I don't like as much. I think Bill does really well by himself, but when he's with Bert, it's not as good.
Okay, the second voice fucking sucks. I hate it. I don't like it.
Was that Joe Madness?
Yeah.
The Partially Examined Life is super interesting. They talk really deep about music. They cut into pop culture. They do some philosophical readings that are pretty heavy. I listen to Freeman's Free Zone. That one's one of those ones that keeps me abreast of the conspiracy theory everything. So that's where I find a lot of the shit that I rant about. Crow 777's the same way. That dude is crazy. Dan Carlin's Hardcore History is really, really good, but he hasn't put out anything since June.
I think I listened to that one.
Yeah, his episodes are like 4.5, 5 hours long, and the deep cuts into history are just fascinating. Zach to the Future, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Black Vault Radio. This guy, he does a lot of Freedom of Information Act requests for, and he runs this site called the Black Vault, and he's got all of these declassified government documents from the last forever. And he specializes in UFO stuff, and that shit bothers me. But every once in a while, he's got some cool guests or somebody. Like, they were doing one about the Skinwalker Ranch, and this place is just crazy. Like, people have seen weird cryptids, just massive UFO activity, and the government owns it now. And I guess there's a documentary that came out last year about it. It's just fascinating. So, yeah, that's
the Dan Carlin one that I listen to is Common Sense. That's what it is.
You have another one? I never even thought to look.
Yeah, Common Sense with Dan Carlin.
Or you didn't try to talk me into watching or getting into? I think you mentioned it in your list.
Probably, but you got to narrow it down.
Sciencey one?
Was it Hidden Brain?
Hidden Brain, yeah.
Yeah, Hidden Brain is probably my favorite podcast.
It's a lot different than Hanging Brain.
Yeah, it's totally different. They're good like 20-minute episodes, and sometimes they're hit or miss. Like they'll pick up a subject that I just don't care about. But most of the time, it's an interesting like way to look at something that I wouldn't normally look at it, because I'm kind of an asshole and I look at everything through that lens. And it's nice to see somebody who seems to really believe in the genuine goodness of
Human
the average
nature.
person. And I'm the opposite. So it's nice to have just to kind of skew me back toward the middle, because I really fall off into asshole land after a while.
I've been told that Ologies is really good.
Ologies?
Like Ologies. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
I've been told that's really good too.
Yeah, I love the really deep dives into shit.
Yeah.
And that's why Dan Carlin's show is so good. And he does an awful lot of research for all of his stuff. And he constantly says, well, now I'm not a historian, but basically. And then he'll go into like the rape of Nanking, which is one of the worst things that humans have ever done to other people. But the Japanese didn't look at the Chinese like they were people during World War II. And the amount of atrocious shit that happened in that town. Oh my God.
You mentioned Bill Burr, and it reminded me of Andrew Scholes, who I think I brought up to you guys on a previous episode. Andrew Scholes has like an Instagram show, and it's so fucking good.
Is it?
It's so good. It's like, it's not regular. He'll only put it out every so often, and it's like maybe between 2 to 5 minutes where he just goes off on rants of current events. And he just uses like basic common sense. It's so good. And obviously, you know, he's a comedian, so he makes it funny too.
That's it.
Yeah,
I followed him.
I do like the comedians. You know, and I like Mark Maron's stand-up. I like his acting.
He's fantastic in Glow.
He is an amazing interviewer. If he cut off the first, and he's a great guitar player. If he cut off the bit where he's bitching about whatever at the beginning, now mostly it's been COVID and Trump.
Yeah.
And it's like, just shut up, dude. Nobody cares. Get Helen Mirren back on there. She's awesome. He did her like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was like an hour-and-a-half interview, and I can't think of anybody else in the world I'd want to work with more than Helen Mirren.
Well, you know, for me with Mark Maron, I kind of lost. I almost liked him more when he had a grudge, a little bit, because when he started doing his podcast, he almost had like he was almost bitter about life.
He was not almost. He was definitely bitter.
Yeah. And so,
well, and he super is now because his girlfriend just died. It was right before COVID hit. And she didn't die of COVID, but and she did some excellent TV work from the sounds of things. But I mean, he was last week. He interviewed Kerry Washington, and
so his girlfriend's death could be his saving grace in terms of bringing back his bitterness.
He definitely sounds bitter. And then he lost his cat last week, 2 weeks ago.
Jeez.
Yeah, he's just had a rough fucking year. And
so I used to listen to him way back, like when I first got into podcasts, and I was listening to you guys. Like I also listened to Adam Carolla, and I would listen to Mark Maron. And I don't know. After a while, I just kind of got over his shows, and it like he definitely sounds like a bitter guy who just he's like, oh, why didn't things happen for me? And you hear some of the stories, and like, dude, you were a little unprofessional. Like I read the story of him getting onto SNL. So like he gets to the last interview, which is with Lorne Michaels, and he goes in and he shows up high, I think, or something like he was impaired.
Yeah. And
then he's like eating Lorne Michaels jelly beans or some shit off of his desk. Like, bro, what the fuck are you doing, bro? What are you doing?
Fucking Michaels. Like,
but he didn't masturbate in front of women.
Right.
and like pin them in the room that he was staying.
That's true. That's true too.
At the Weinstein thing.
No,
so-
that's definitely Louis C.K.
Louis
That's Louis C.K.
Did he block somebody in a room? I thought he was just on the phone with the girl.
well, I think he kind of cornered him at the door.
Oh,
Yeah, there's
I
a
don't know. He just looks like a dude with a pathetic little dick. Like he probably has to corner girls.
Oh, gross.
You know what's crazy? I remember seeing a more recent photo of Weinstein and how decrepit he looks now.
Yeah.
And it's like, was he fucking the youngness out of these women?
Yeah,
Like now that he can no longer like suck the youngness out of them, he
his
just
dog is
withered.
Nosferatu.
Yeah. This guy just withered.
He just, yeah, and he's got a walker.
Yeah.
Like, motherfucker, you're like 57 years old. Knock it off.
It's insane. It's
He's
insane.
got terrible skin. Like everything about that dude
He
is
looks like a raisin, a dry raisin, right?
a rape and raisin.
A raisin.
well,
Can't spell grape without rape, my friends.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, he's a terrible person.
Yeah. Yeah. Mark Maron actually mentioned that he's next month he'll be 21 years sober. And he
Joey Diaz. Yeah, sorry to cut you off, Huds, but Jake just mentioned Joey Diaz. It's fantastic.
great stories about doing coke with Mark. Oh yeah, I bet he does. I mean, he was talking about just like the amount of coke and weed and drinking that he did,
Yeah.
and it's pretty hard to fucking maintain professionalism when you've got all those different things cycling through your.
I used to listen to You Made It Weird with Pete Holmes.
yeah.
And I still really like Pete Holmes, but man, those shows are just so long. Like
Yeah.
it's hard to.
I can't watch or I can't listen to Rogan either because he's like 4.5 hours long, and I
Yeah.
just can't keep my attention.
That's my problem. So like I listen to Rogan and like I usually listen to his episodes in pieces because it's just too long. And I also like I pick and choose. I like his podcast is not a podcast that I subscribe to. So I just follow his podcast and when
You
a new
pick
one
the
comes
interviews.
out, right. I pick
Yeah.
the good ones. Like if it's comedians, unless it's a comedian I like, I don't listen to any of that. I don't listen to his MMA stuff because I'm not into it. So it's usually just like when he has scientists or doctors or stuff like that.
Honestly, I don't give a shit what somebody who gets punched in the head for a living has to say.
He
It's
had
probably not going to be that great.
Bill Burr on there pretty recently, and they were talking
Yeah.
about COVID stuff, and it was pretty funny. Like I don't
Yeah.
really I don't listen to Joe Rogan either because I think he's a fucking dipshit moron asshole. But this stuff with Bill Burr recently when they were talking about COVID was pretty funny. There's a few clips that somebody thankfully took and clipped for us normal human beings to listen to, and just the stuff that like Bill Burr is like he's Bill Burr like in his his
little South
cadence.
Boston.
He's just like, shut the fuck up.
I'm
Like,
not going to do this
he's
today.
like, he's like, I'm not doing this. You're not a fucking scientist. You're not a doctor. He's like, I'm not going to listen to some fucking moron with a podcast talking about whether or not we should be wearing masks. Just move on with it. He's like, I'm not doing it. And like,
Bill Burr's hilarious.
like Joe like wanted to get like a word in edgewise, and Bill just he shut it down.
Yeah, when Bill gets on it, he's on it.
Yeah.
He's got he's softened quite a bit. He just had another kid, and
Yeah.
like you can tell that he's different.
Also, somebody also takes Bill Burr clips too and posts them on YouTube, and he does some of his sports stuff is so funny. Like,
and he's on point there too.
Yeah.
Like he knows his
some of
shit.
his sports stuff is so good. Like he talked about the dance recently with Michael Jordan, like the whole documentary. He talked about some of that stuff. There's a clip on there where you can watch it where he's talking about this like wrestler who I was gonna play it on our show.
He's a huge Ric Flair fan.
He is, yeah.
I was teaching. We were watching SummerSlam, and I was teaching Mara to woo. She's like woo, and she'd go woo.
She's doing like the Sting woo.
Yeah.
Because that Sting woo, he always just goes woo. It's different. It's a different woo.
Mara will be 2 in 2 months, so she's just adorable when she does it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, man. It's Bill. I mean, Bill Burr's hilarious. I don't. I have actually personally never found Joe Rogan funny. I don't think anything he does is good.
I like his stand up quite a bit.
Yeah.
When he's like, I love my mom, I love my wife, I love my daughters, but I could kick the shit out of all of them at the same time. That's one of the best bits that anybody's ever done. Because he's like, it's physically not possible for them to beat me in a fight. Like,
he's almost a person that's like almost like a guy you'd want to do a case study on, because you're like, how, like, was it Fear Factor that got, like, what was the next step for you, Joe Rogan? Because it's not, you watch him on news radio, you're like, this isn't going to be the guy that like takes the fucking internet by storm. But I think it's the interviews and the people that he like gets for.
Yeah.
Well, and he's real comfortable being himself.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that
and he
aren't.
just kind of hops on board with whatever he's like passionate about.
Yeah.
And so if he can sit and endorse what that is, and he speaks to this large demographic of people that are
I'd
all
like
over
to
the
do
country.
shrooms with him.
The country, all over the world, man.
Yeah.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Well,
over
there
the world.
was this last year.
$100 million Spotify deal, September 1.
There was this guy.
Crazy.
Either going to make or break him.
Yeah.
This guy last year at the college was like, he's like, oh man, you listen to JRE, and I didn't even know what he was talking about.
Sure.
He's like, you listen to JRE, and I'm like, what the fuck is JRE? And he's like, Joe Rogan Experience. And I was like, what? No,
From
why?
Fear Factor?
The Fear Factor guy?
I honestly, I forget like once a week.
Or from news radio?
I'm like Joe Rogan Experience. What the fuck is that? And he's like, podcast, and he's like, oh yeah. I'm like, oh yeah. No, I don't.
I remember a video that somebody was taking of him, and some girl was trying to pick him up at a bar or something, and he just shut her down because she just looked like, drunk trash. And he was like, nope, I got nothing for you. And she followed him to another place, and his buddy was like videoing the whole thing. It was I think it was probably on YouTube. And this was like late 90s, early 2000s, like like just after news radio was done. And he was so comfortable with who he is that there was nothing this girl could do. And plus it was all on video. So it's not like she could go back and be like, oh, cancel Joe Rogan because he was mean to me.
Yeah.
But that was when I was like, oh yeah, Joe Rogan's all right. But I cannot get behind a 5-hour fucking podcast.
No, I'm not.
I don't.
It's rough.
Elon Musk talking about flamethrowers, like it's just too much.
Well, what was he's moving to Texas, isn't he?
He is. He's moving to Texas.
Yeah,
if he hasn't already moved.
Yeah.
A lot of people are leaving LA. I mean, it's
Well,
it's expensive.
he's got a couple guys in his hemisphere, Chris D'Elia and Brian Callen, now in the process of getting canceled. Brian Callen, you know Goldberg, the show Goldberg's, right?
Yeah.
The gym teacher.
Well, Brian Callen was on Mad TV, right?
Oh, right, yeah.
That's how I know
Yeah.
who he is here.
I mean, he's fine, but yeah, I mean, he's in the middle of being canceled.
Wasn't he friends with Chris D'Elia?
Also he had a project in development with Chris D'Elia for Netflix, I
That
believe.
sounds like they had a real project in development together.
Yeah.
I fucked the kids, you raped the bitches.
Whoa.
It just sucks because
joke or?
No, well, I don't know if that was
It
the
just
problem,
sucks
but
that-
Chris D'Elia was like the pedophile,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
and Brian Callen was like being accused of being a rapist.
He was rapey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
rapey, yeah.
Rapey.
It's just
Because I don't think that there's anybody that can't get classified as rapey if you want to get down to.
I just find it interesting that all of these guys who play something skeezy on something are the ones that end up being skeezy. It's like, oh yeah.
Chris D'Elia 2 times played a child predator.
It's always one or the other though. Like either they're really that scuzzy or they're the nicest people in the world.
Right.
Like you look at like Andy Dick, he really
Fighter
is
and the
just
Kid
scuzzy.
with Brendan Schaub, who's basically 2 chromosomes. He's got like 2 extra chromosomes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not
Brendan Schaub's an idiot. You would
Is he the one that has
personal
a mullet?
opinion.
Is he the one that has a mullet?
No, that's what's the Road Rules guy? What's his name?
Well, he's in trouble too.
Is he?
Who
Yeah.
isn't?
No,
That's the thing. Who isn't, right?
that Chris. Well, the Chris D'Elia circle of those guys who they hang out with, though, all those guys are in trouble right now. Like people are coming out and being like, "Oh, this
Theo
is
Vaughn.
Theo Vaughn.
Theo Vaughn.
all those guys that like hang around Chris D'Elia right now are getting like,
Yeah. It's basically like, what have they done?
Yeah.
And Jake Matthews echoes with Theo Vaughn. Yeah, Theo Vaughn. He's got the mullet.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with him yet. Does he have something new coming out? Or
no, I don't know.
No news on him. But if I Google Brian Callen or Chris D'Elia, I know there is for sure.
Yeah.
Man, I don't even care anymore. If they're not some child being fucked with by like billionaire pedophiles, I just don't care. Like if you went to Hollywood and ended up on a casting couch, that's on you, bitch.
Well,
I just don't care.
I kind of feel like anybody that has everybody in this room's been horny at one time, and I'm not saying like
Sure.
but I mean
Jesus, like probably twice today.
Right?
yeah, I would say that, and I would say people will get like a dude would get aggressive in nature, not rapey,
Sure.
but basically like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't realize they're being uncomfortable. Maybe they think they're being cute.
Yeah.
I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying like,
Well, a lot of times it's based on how
like you have the
good-looking
Aziz
person is.
example.
Yeah.
Where he was like, I did not know that I was making this person uncomfortable.
And that whole thing
But-
sounds weird anyway.
Right.
That's
On
just-
its face.
I'm sorry. I mean, like the Aziz story to me was just like, that's too far. Like that's, I mean, I have a little bit of a problem with that. Like, I don't understand what the thinking is. It's like the dude invites you back to his place. You know how dudes are. Like, what is going through your mind? You're going to like actually Netflix and chill? No.
No.
You
So then
can't
get there.
Slobber on his balls.
You can't rewrite the narrative of what the nature of most men.
Right. So
happens to be.
you get there, and then he starts doing something you're not comfortable with, right? Like he starts coming on to you, and your first reaction is, okay, I'm not comfortable, I'm leaving. No, you decide to stay. Like, what?
Yeah. Why didn't you leave?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like sorry's gonna stop you.
But that's a difference that you're right, and that's a different situation than being Chris D'Elia, who is like continuously texting underage girls.
Right. No,
I've seen some of I haven't seen any of his, but I've seen some of the texts these guys are
D'Elia
sending,
is a creep.
and the girl will fucking say like, "I'm 16. Is that okay?" Like, no, it's not okay. Like, what were you doing at a 21 and over club in the first place? Like, where the fuck are your parents?
Right.
Why are you in a situation where this famous fucking pedophile can come after you?
But
And
at the same time, Chris D'Elia though also just only using my just judgment of a human being, just judging one human being to another human being. Chris D'Elia, hands down, looks like a fucking child molester, dude.
Doesn't
That
he?
dude is a
he has date rape.
he
face.
has a date rape face.
That's why
I've
he's been cast twice in that type of.
I've
in that
been
character.
saying it for 5 years, dude. Chris D'Elia looks like a fucking rapist.
Yeah,
Just
I
the
haven't
way
heard any of
his
this stuff,
face
but yeah.
looks. Just looks. If he was wearing aviator glasses, you would know. If he was wearing aviator glasses, he'd be in fucking prison. like Dahmer aviator glasses, like wireframe glasses. Dude would be in
And a
fucking
trench coat.
prison.
And a trench
But
coat.
you would see him and be like, "Oh, that's a fucking rapist."
You know, one thing I don't like about listening to Bill Burr is he'll talk about stuff, but he won't name names. And so he's like, I'm not going to talk out of school. Not going to talk out of school. But like, I can't research this shit if you're not, if you don't. At least
You got to talk
say
in
who it
school a
was.
little bit, Bill.
Like he most of the time he's like, I don't know anything about this situation. I wasn't involved. I barely know these people. I worked in comedy clubs with them. But when female comics are complaining about something, when this dude hasn't caught a charge or seen a trial, like they've already tried and convicted him in the court of Twitter. And like, I don't know, but like you said, there's text messages of him going back and forth. The girl being like, I'm 17. Like, well, then call me in fucking 6 months.
Right. Yeah. Like, there's a line where like at one point you then go too far.
Yeah.
But also,
and if you're at all famous, like if three dudes who I haven't seen any of his work, but I know
call me in
like
6 months, I'll keep fluffing it. What I mean,
like. Call me in 6 months and see where we're at. Like, I don't, once you're 18, maybe we can talk, but I can't talk to you right now.
But also, why does this keep happening? How does it keep happening? Like, he's like, call me. And even if he's in a situation where he's like, oh, you're not 18 yet, you're 17 and a half. Call me in 6 months. It's still it's creepy.
It's creepy.
It's still creepy.
At least it's legal at that point.
But why is it still a thing? Like, oh, call me in 6 months. I had to just say that a couple weeks ago, but I had to tell her to call me in 2 years.
Why do you into that situation, Chris?
I had to tell her to call me in 2 years. And a couple weeks ago, I had to tell somebody else to call me in 3 years because I'm a fucking creep who messages fucking 15-year-olds online. Why are you in this fucking situation, dude?
That's a good point.
Like, it should be a one-timer.
Right.
Because you have rape face.
Rape face.
Could you imagine just being born looking like a sexual predator? That's gotta suck.
Or imagine looking like Kevin Spacey. He doesn't look dangerous.
No, he just looks like a person.
Even when he plays a fucking serial killer. He doesn't look dangerous.
That's the most. So Kevin Spacey's the most dangerous type of sexual predator.
In Seven, he's the most endearing looking.
Right.
You know what's crazy though? Like, I was thinking about Kevin Spacey before when we were talking about Weinstein and the other guys, and like a few months before he was outed, like a few months before the whole Me Too thing and everyone started getting named, I had heard. So I worked with a second AD who had worked with him. And she was telling me like all the stories about him. So it was very known in the industry, the type of person he was. And like, so, and he would give passes at young guys. So like below 21 years old.
Yeah. And he's 60.
I know. So like, she told me a story of how she went to a rap party with him. Right. And she took her brother, and he was hitting on her brother like the whole night. Yeah. The whole night. And obviously the brother was not into that. And he's like, oh, I have a girlfriend, but he didn't care. He was hitting on him the whole time.
Yeah. Well, and he's the way he handled it too. He's like, oh, well, I'm a homosexual. Like, you know, people have been asking you for a long time, and you start catching flack for raping 14-year-old boys at parties in New York City, and then all of a sudden you're just like, oh, I'm a homosexual. Like, there's
still an age of consent. Yeah, there's still an age of consent. Even
also, way to set back that movement.
Like, no shit. Like,
because there's a population of people out there who are like, oh, homosexuals are sexual deviants.
Yeah,
which is not.
There's a big population of people who think that.
Right, and so then the first thing he does when he gets caught for doing what he's doing, for
being a sexual deviant,
he goes, "Well, no, don't worry about it. I'm just gay.
It's okay.
Like,
I'm a homosexual.
You piece of shit.
Like that dude was 14. That's not okay.
Yeah,
unless you're also 14.
It's like, well, fuck you, buddy. Like, no,
no,
that's
thanks.
not how that works.
No, but you know. Some of the other ones I don't have any pity for. Like, what's her name? The Rose McGowan. I don't. Sorry. She was of age and she wanted a job, and so she fucked Weinstein. Like, sorry.
Yeah,
I got nothing for you.
Well, I mean, look, that's like, I'm not here condoning Weinstein, right? Like, what he did is fucked up. He abused his power and all that. But, you know,
absolutely,
the girls knew what they were getting into.
They did.
You know,
you're not going to a script read at 3:30 in the morning at a hotel room with a dude in a bathroom.
Right. They knew very well. they knew very well, like, look, if I want my career to advance, I got to do a few things, you know?
It's just a shame it was like that even in the first place.
Well, and then,
No, of course. I agree. Like, it shouldn't be that way.
there was that lady.
What was that girl I sent you the stuff on the other day that basically kind of like halfway fucked her way into the industry, but not really?
Oh,
not quite.
Yeah, I don't remember what her name was, but yeah, exactly. She's
same type of gal. Yeah,
yeah. And then 5 years later, she's like, "Oh, I was raped." Like, no, you weren't. You weren't. You got a job. You were a whore. You traded your body for a job. Like, I'm not saying that's what happened with the Weinstein people, but that girl's a whore. Like, without question. I can't remember what her name is, but the whole description of that story.
See if I can track the conversation
and the way she kept pulling stuff up from 5 years ago, but now you're with another dude who's 40 years older than you and can get you a job. Like, you're a fucking whore. That's it. It's not. And you know what? That's an acceptable way for somebody to go through life, as long as you don't pretend like you're something else. You're not an actress. You're not an artist. You're a whore. And it's just fine because it's going to get you money. Sometimes that's all you can do.
I mean, I'd probably banging out with Weinstein for a few $million bucks.
Charlotte Kirk.
Yeah. See, nobody's heard of her, but she's probably got millions of more dollars than I do.
The headline is Meet Charlotte Kirk, the 28-year-old actress who took down 2 studio chiefs.
Yeah.
She took down the NBC Universal Vice Chairman Ron Meyer, one of the longest tenured top executives in Hollywood, had been fired from NBC Universal due to fallout from an extramarital affair. Was big enough to rock the industry, but then the news broke that the woman Meyer had the relationship. God damn it! Meyer had the relationship with was none other than Charlotte Kirk, whose extramarital affair with former Warner Brothers CEO Kevin Tsujihara in 2013 and 2014 ultimately led to his resignation in 2019.
See that 2 extramarital affairs, and she's involved in both of them. Knows these dudes are married. That's
right.
Her being a whore. Like, you can doctor it up. You can wash the windows. You can say whatever, but no. Honey, you're a whore.
Well, and she used that. She used it to like work her way into into a couple movies, like small roles. I think she got a small role in like the Ocean's 8 movie.
Ugh.
But
that was a mistake.
And then you go to her Instagram, and it's just like full of like really. I wouldn't call them risque or anything like that, but they were very like showing pictures.
Oh, she's just showing off.
Yeah,
goods.
just like yeah.
Yeah, because she's got another couple years before she hits the wall, and she's done. And nobody wants to talk about it, but it's true.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
if you don't have a personality past 30, honey, you're not getting anything.
Yes,
you've got cats and knitting in your future. I'm sorry,
cats and knitting,
and Megan Fox thumbs.
Ooh. Ooh. The Nimish thumbs, we used to call those.
Nimish thumbs.
The Nimish thumbs. Not quite gnomish. Don't fit her hands though. No. I don't know. The whole thing. And then you look at like the recent Tom Hanks stuff. It's all rumors and whatnot, but like he was on Epstein's plane, and then all of a sudden he's got COVID in this town of 143 while he's shooting a movie in fucking Australia. And then he comes back, and he gets back, and suddenly he's a Grecian citizen now. He's from Greece, and
that is a interesting wrinkle, I'd call it. But
and then you look.
I have a hard time buying Tom Hanks.
I was running.
But then you look at his Instagram.
God damn it! Fuck you.
Have you seen his Instagram? It's all like pictures of lost gloves and socks and stuff.
Yeah.
And then like all of that are like places that kids have disappeared, and it's like, Jesus Christ, what is wrong with you?
Catch me if you can.
Like, even if you're not part of this group of people who's raping children on an island.
But this you got to take your own advice though on this one and be like, don't buy so much into don't. As soon as they bring up satanic cults and like
people shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you gotta be careful how deep
don't
you
know.
stick your foot in the water.
I'm definitely on board with the Tom Hanks one. Did you watch that video I sent you, that 28 one, like something's weird about Tom Hanks? And
I don't know.
They go through his whole career, and the whole thing lines up with all of the shit that they talk about being fucking weird.
When did you send that to me? Was it recent?
It was quite a while back.
I'll send it to me again.
Do we have any more of these? Or are we done with these?
I got more.
Can I get another Red Bull?
Yeah.
Before I pass out.
I do think. Well, I was gonna say right before I went out there.
Thanks.
So the thing about the girls, I mean, it's I think it's great that they all came forward. I think the Me Too thing absolutely need to happen.
Mhm.
However, I do think that it's something that the sad part is it's something that it's literally been known forever.
Yeah, there's
Like,
always been jokes about
I mean,
casting couches.
Wait, no, I was just gonna say the fact that there is
It's in movies.
there is a type of pornography that exists called casting couch porn is always based on reality. The fact that there is a casting couch style of porn, if you go onto like Pornhub and you type in casting couch, that's a fucking genre of porn.
Yeah, I should have been a plumber
That
or
exists.
a fucking pizza delivery
Right.
boy.
But there's the casting couch, and it's all the same thing. And those girls who are on the casting couch in pornography are never actually on the casting couch. They're already established established porn actresses. That's what they do.
That's their job.
But
yeah,
that's a genre of pornography. Like it is. It's just the way it is. So that's set in reality.
Mhm.
That's a real thing. There are movies. What's that movie with Eddie Murphy and Steve Martin, and they're playing
Bowfinger.
Bowfinger. That movie literally has
a casting couch scene.
Heather Graham, like sleeps her way through the cast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like she goes with Eddie Murphy's brother first, like the brother of the actor first, right? He's like his twin brother who's like in the role, and then she goes to like Bowfinger, and then she like moves her way up through like this movie that they're filming, which is a garbage like shitty movie that he's like scamming. That's like the plot of the movie. That's a plot of the movie though.
Right.
That shit's set in real life. Like whoever wrote that movie was like, this is shits I've seen in real life.
This will be super easy to get made.
This is fucking funny. Like
because somebody wants to fuck
so,
Heather
like,
Graham.
Like we all know. Like it's a thing that we know. It's just been established. So like, I mean, it's good that it happens so that it's like, hey, by the way, this is real. This is grounded in reality. This is the shit that's going on in Hollywood. And those guys like Weinstein, like they did need to lose power. They need to go away.
Absolutely.
Dude, Hollywood's one of the biggest fucking hypocrites.
Well, and you'd mentioned working on The Good Wife, and the lady that was the star on that, she had an encounter early on with Weinstein.
Julianne Margulies.
Yes, and she turned him down and said, I'll just go do my own thing. Thank you. I'm not coming to your hotel room at 2:00 in the morning.
Right.
And fuck you on the script.
Right.
And she was successful. So I think a lot of his presumed power was not as, I don't think he had as much say outside of Miramax as they let him, they try and project like, oh, he can shut you down from movies forever. Like,
well, he kind of could.
not forever.
Well, here's the thing. Like, movies and TV are kind of two different worlds. They're starting to blend in a little bit now because TV has gotten so much better, so much more advanced. The stories are better, more elaborate. There's more
actors are doing it again.
Right, exactly. But before, it was like two separate worlds. Like, actors didn't really cross. And if you wanted to be a movie star,
every once in a while, but
right.
That it wasn't.
If you wanted to be a movie star, it was like, those are the rules. And him being such a powerful guy, like if you were on his bad side, he would turn around and go to like as big as the Hollywood world is, it's pretty small. Everyone knows everyone, and it's just a matter of him going like, you're not hiring that person. And if you hire them, I'm not funding any more of your films, and I'm telling everyone not to fund your films anymore or something like that, Yeah. So that's kind of what happens. He like pushes his weight around.
It's kind of
He had a lot of that.
a fun.
Yeah,
Holds up. I was watching it the other day because HBO Max, right? But Entourage is a fun rewatch because
I love Entourage.
It puts Hollywood under a microscope in a way.
I love it's my favorite TV show ever.
It's a good show. Do you know my favorite thing about Entourage?
That's awesome.
Real quick, this has nothing to do. Oh,
Toy Story even removed a controversial casting couch scene. I'm pretty sure. I read an article about like that. So
I'm sure it
yeah,
happens.
I bet it did.
Yeah.
Probably.
I saw
Tom Hanks connection. Sorry.
There's a snake in my boot.
She kissed me on the buttocks. I imagine it was. But...
Go on, Jenny.
Wilson.
Oh, and she's tied to another one.
Oh yeah,
Robin
yeah.
Wright Penn
Yeah.
ended up being just Robin Wright and being with Kevin Spacey, taking his presidency.
I bet Sean Penn's been easy to live with too.
Yeah, didn't he burn Madonna with like a crack pipe? He was like fucking what's his name
I was
levels.
gonna say no. I lost.
God damn it!
I lost it. I lost it with my own joke. That's my bad.
You
Here.
lost your own.
Toy Story.
No, I lost my own thought.
Oh.
It was before Toy Story. I lost it. I lost it with my own joke. That's on me. I'm sorry. It must not have been very important. Oh no! No. It was about. I know what I'm talking about. It was about Entourage. Entourage. My favorite Entourage storyline is the really, really, really shitty Aquaman movie they were gonna do, where the main guy in Entourage gets cast to play Aquaman in the shitty Aquaman movie they're gonna make in that movie.
Nice.
It's very Inception. It's a movie within a movie.
They were doing Aquaman, and he was cast to play Aquaman in the movie that's within that show.
Yeah.
And all the stuff for it's real bad, and it's real fun. It's real bad though. Like,
wasn't Aquaman good? I haven't seen it yet.
yeah,
It's okay.
Did it come out all right?
The real Aquaman movie.
Yeah.
it's fine.
The real
Wonder
one.
Woman was good. And
Wonder Woman.
I've got some hope for Wonder Woman 84.
It looks good.
Speaking of DC fandom,
Yeah.
like there's some good stuff, and I don't want to get too excited because DC is my favorite of the comics, and
Same.
they just have not.
But they just keep shitting the
Carried
bed
it
with
through.
consistency. Marvel has been. I can only think of a couple of their movies that I had. Like, I didn't care. I don't even think I've watched Captain Marvel.
I haven't
It
seen
wasn't great.
I didn't watch that
It
one.
looked
She's
like-
one that's grown on me as an act. Brie Larson's one that's grown on me.
Yeah.
Yep. I've seen enough behind the scenes interviews with her and stuff that I'm like, fanboys are fucking lame. I like Brie Larson.
I watched
Fucking fanboys.
I watched a good. It was a little.
She's adorable. I don't
Yeah.
care.
It was a thing on the
Captain
island of
Marvel
Dr.
didn't
Moreau
sell
the
me
other day, and it was. It came out like a month ago or a couple months ago. Basically, it was a different guy doing the recap of how the island of Dr. Moreau went, and he basically equated Val Kilmer and Marlon Brando working together, like having two Brie Larsons working together,
Oh,
because they're just so like such assholes.
I watched. There was a blooper reel for Between Two Ferns with Zach Galifianakis,
Oh, that's such a funny
which is, that show's already hilarious, but the blooper
Yeah.
reel is actually
Yeah.
fucking intense.
Yeah.
It's so good.
He's a heck
Like,
of a talent.
Like, if you ever watch Between Two Ferns and you're like, man, how does he get through this? The answer is he does not. He does not get through it. There's so many cuts on that show. Like, he asks a question and he starts laughing immediately because it's like the meanest questions ever. So there's a few of them where he's interviewing Brie Larson and he asks her questions and then they both just die. And it's like, nah, she's adorable. This is fine. People are stupid.
I don't know. That movie was not well done.
I liked her in the movie
Like,
in the movie The Room,
The way
No room.
or just Room.
I think
Yeah.
they were trying to
different.
do
The worst movie ever, The Room. It's the best worst movie or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plan 9 from Outer
she's
Space.
just in room.
Yeah.
Plan 9 from Outer Space is what you want to watch. They got Boris Karloff to be in it, and he died halfway through. The UFOs are made out of pie plates, It's fucking great.
Okay.
Like the plan in Plan 9 is they're resurrecting these aliens are resurrecting the dead into vampires, and it's just like the whole thing is it's the fucking worst movie ever made. There's sets falling over. They're like just oh my god,
That's awesome.
It's fantastic to watch. And they had to replace Boris Karloff, and so it's just this dude running around with a cape over his face and this fake graveyard knocking shit over.
If you get a chance, go find that blooper reel for Between Two Ferns, and it'll change your opinion on Brie Larson. Also, she was on an episode of Hot Ones. Since the COVID, she's on the COVID-19 Hot Ones. Great show, by the way.
What's that?
Hot Ones is that show. It's Sean whatever, but he's interviewing people while they're eating like hot wings.
Hot wings, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've seen a few
But
of
she's
those.
on that, and she's great on that too.
I
And
think
now
I've seen an episode.
apparently since she did this whole thing where she was like, I don't really want people to know about my personal life, and she was kind of sharp about it. And since then, she's because of COVID and everything.
However,
I wish
that
more
is
of them
a
were that
good.
way.
That is actually a good. I was gonna say
that's probably the best.
that's
thing
an
I've heard about her.
admirable trait.
Like
Yeah.
that's awesome. I wish more of them were like,
Yeah.
nope, I don't want to
Well, so
express
that's-
my personal views about anything.
So she
right
was
now.
like, I don't really want to talk about my personal life and but she was a little sharp about it. But then she, and then a lot of, I mean, I'll be fucking frank with you. A lot of right wing fucking incel fucking douchebags. I'll be clear with you about it. I fucking hate the left and the right. This is the only time I'll ever talk. I hate you all. I hate you all, and I can't wait till this fucking election ends and the world ends with it. I cannot wait.
crossing
I'm
my
waiting
finger on
with
that
cheers.
asteroid.
I'm waiting with bated breath for this world to fucking end. I cannot wait for it.
Too
But-
liberal for the right, too conservative for the left.
I hate you all. I hate it. So, and because of that, I hate like things that come with stuff. Like I didn't watch Captain Marvel. The character is not somebody I've never really cared. It has nothing to do with her being a woman character. I don't care. Also,
I don't like how the music doesn't fit.
also
You know how
like
in the Guardians movies the music is always
Oh,
on point?
yeah.
They tried to do that with 90s music because it's a
But
90s
it's
period
ca-
piece,
Oh.
and it never hits. Like
James
nothing.
Gunn. If James Gunn directed it,
Yep.
he'd have hit it on the head.
He's got a
His
a
rhythm.
gift.
Yeah.
And whoever
Yeah.
directed that one did not, and it throws off the whole fucking movie. And people are like, "Oh, it was great. It was this huge feminist." Like, no. I mean, it's great that she was, but one, she's no
Right.
fucking Wonder Woman. She just isn't. Captain
Right.
Marvel is not that level of character.
No.
I don't care if she can punch through planets. She's not fucking Wonder Woman level.
Right.
And she just isn't.
She also felt like a convenient solution to the Avengers Endgame problem.
Sure.
Yeah. And yeah,
That
They-
always to me,
they-
I felt like this seems really
they could have waited
Too
to
easy.
introduce her
Well,
till after Endgame.
That's Deus Ex Machina though.
Yeah.
That's like literally what she is. Like that's the sword that the fucking robot has in Pacific Rim. How it's like, well, how do we end this movie? Well, how
Fucking
about
spoilers?
how
I haven't
about
seen that yet.
go watch it? I
you
mean,
know,
Fucking
you're about
15
4
years
years behind. Get,
also
15-year-old movie.
maybe-
to it. Jax Teller dies, by the way, in
also,
Sons of Anarchy.
also don't watch Pacific Rim.
Is it bad?
Trash, but yeah, I mean, like Deus Ex Machina, like it ends up having like this sword, like
Yeah,
the,
Mac from the Shield runs
like
over
the
him.
whole time, like the whole time it has like this sword that it could have just ended things in the
Mackey.
beginning of the movie, but they just conveniently write it in, right? So that's what happens in like Avengers Endgame. It's like, oh, she's back, she's saving the day, it's over. Like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. So like, but anyway, she did these interviews where she was sharp. Where I think at one point she said, "These movies aren't for you." You know, like referring to like, I think she was referring to like the fanboys. You know, a lot of them. But like, I just
And
Don't-
she's fucking wrong. Like that's who those movies are for.
Right.
That's why we go see them.
But also at the same time, like, who gives a cunt suck? Like, who fucking cares? Do you really care? Like, who cares? It's a movie. It's a shitty garbage movie watched by garbage people. Like, it's a comic book movie. It's a cartoon.
Almost everybody.
It's a
Not just
cartoon.
garbage people. I mean, I agree that most of humanity is garbage people, But
Yeah.
that's
So
who
that was
movie's
yeah.
for.
So she has a YouTube channel now. Ever since like
Oh.
the like COVID stuff struck, she was like, well, I'll do some
Let me
stuff
see
to
if I
like
can make some money.
keep some
Some good
exposure.
news.
I've heard it's actually not a bad channel too. I don't think she does a ton of like it's not like weird stuff. Like
She's not showing her clam. She should have an OnlyFans.
she should do that
Yeah.
because she's super hot actually. But I mean like it's not a big deal. I mean she's in Scott Pilgrim. Like God,
That's a pretty good movie.
That was such a good movie.
she's a babe in that movie too.
Who was she?
She's
his ex.
His ex.
Yeah. How
Also-
does that dude keep getting? those
Also,
girls?
she actually did sing that song in that movie.
Oh, did she?
The song is
Isn't she front a band or something?
well, so she was a DJ. Like that's how
Oh.
she paid her way through.
That
Like,
puts her fucking estimation down.
yeah, I mean,
I'm
she
not a
did
big
her-
fan of DJs.
Well,
It's DJ Tanner from Full House.
Oh, nope. Doesn't do it.
That's Kirk Cameron's sister.
is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Candace Cameron.
Jesus.
Yeah. They ruled.
Sorry
the
for
sitcom.
derailing the
Anyway,
trajectory
I don't
of
know.
your
Dude,
discussion.
the fanboy thing does bother me a little bit. It's like, why are you so? Like, I'm a fan of things too, but like, why are you so passionate about this? Like, who cares?
I'm not that passionate about anything though.
No, I know that's what I
Like
mean. I don't think
anything.
I don't think any of us really are. Like, we like what we like. We do shows about it. We talk about what we talk about. But are any of us like, are you willing to die for what you think about? Like, for what you watch? There are people out there who
No.
are like, if they ruin this movie, it'll ruin my childhood. I'm like, that will ruin your childhood? What about all the times your dad beat the shit out of you?
What about that time Kevin Spacey raped you at that party?
Right.
How did that?
Like,
no,
I can't
like-
believe they cast all women in the Ghostbusters remake. That ruined my childhood. Yeah, that ruined your childhood. What about all the times like people called you ugly and fat and a loser
Like,
when you were a kid?
I took my
Like,
son to see that, and we were walking out. He's like,
It was a bad movie. Though.
he's like, it wasn't as good as the original. And I was like, yep, that's pretty much how I feel. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like they ruined it. Because how do you shit on a property
It's
that's
just a
about some
movie.
dudes fighting ghosts in New York City? Like,
Or
honestly, how do you make that a lesser thing? Like, I get that it's one of those near perfect movies, the first one.
Yeah.
Not in the second one. The
but
second
it
one's not
almost
bad,
wasn't.
but- It almost wasn't.
It almost wasn't because Dan Aykroyd wrote a much shittier script that almost got made.
Didn't Ivan Reitman fix it?
I don't-
Ivan
and,
Reitman was
uh,
like, I don't think
I
so.
don't think
And I
Harold
think
Ramis.
didn't Harold Ramis have a hand in
Harold
it?
Ramis was
Yeah.
like also like, no, I don't think some
Like
of
a
this stuff's
script doctor.
gonna work. But
Not
Dan Aykroyd was like, can I at least still get a blowjob from a ghost in it?
From a ghost played by my
And they're-
wife.
And they're like, no, probably not, Dan. And he's like, well, then we're not doing it. And they're like, well, I guess we'll do a ghost blowjob scene then. You fucking
I guess I'll
weirdo.
go make Groundhog Day.
You moron. And then Dan Aykroyd just watched the movie, and then that scene happens, which doesn't make any sense in the movie. And Dan Aykroyd was like, still my favorite scene to do. Still my favorite scene. Everyone liked it.
He's
Right,
one of the
Harold?
weirdest fucking people like ever.
Right, everyone liked it. Right, Harold? And Harold's like, nope, nobody liked it at all. Bill, what did you think? Bill's like, I didn't watch the movie. I'm Bill Murray.
I had golf to play.
I've never watched any movie I'm in. Are you kidding me?
Have you seen the new movie that he's going to be in with Rashida Jones?
Nope.
No.
It's another Coppola
Oh, nice.
movie.
Sophia,
Yeah, it looks good. I can't remember what it's called now, but
I enjoyed Lost in Translation. It's
I'm
one of those
glad-
ones that you're just like, what's going on here?
I'm glad
I
that
enjoyed
Sofia Coppola is a better director than an actress.
oh god, she's awful in Godfather 3.
She's so bad.
Everybody's awful in Godfather 3. That they just shouldn't have kept that going.
There's
Those
my right.
first two. That's
You know,
another,
they
like,
killed off Tom, and Robert Duvall was alive. It's like he's alive now. He was
Yeah.
alive then. Why not?
Did you see The Judge?
The Judge is like
What
one
a
of the
fucking
best
great
movies.
flick.
We should probably wrap it.
Yeah,
It is getting late.
It's a little late.
long in the tooth. Yeah, Judge is great. It's a fantastic.
Bruno, thanks for being on the show this entire time.
Yeah, that was
Dude,
It's like
it's late in
fucking
Jersey
late
right
there.
now.
It's 1 a.m. over here.
I was gonna say it's
You're a fucking trooper.
I mean, this was fun. Thanks for having me on.
This is this has been a blast, and I hope that you want to do it again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. Fuck
So, because I have like a ton more questions and probably a lot of the same questions, but
I feel honestly at this point I feel more ashamed that this is the first time you've been on the show. But also prior to COVID-19, I don't know that we had any better way to have you on the show.
Yeah, we had to
That's
figure out
true.
a way to
We were
maneuver
using
around.
Skype.
such bad
still.
technology.
We were using I still think that
StreamYard was really like saved us from me wanting to like actually quit doing the show.
I feel like Skype was that was what we were using mostly, right? Still Skype
for like
Anytime we have
remote
somebody-
stuff. Yeah.
You guys also had like the phone. I thought about calling in once or twice. It just never worked out.
Oh yeah, that phone never took off. We had 3 calls that I was a part of.
Yeah, we did a phone way back in the original Basement Boys, and we got quite. We'd get calls pretty regularly, but even then, it was still hit and miss.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember the last 4.
Do you know what I like about
the phone
StreamYard?
number?
Is if you do the invite thing and you post that code on there, and if people get on there, you still have to let them in too.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of, so you could always put the thing on there and be like, hey, join in, say hello
If you want, yeah.
And then if somebody did it and they're like jerking off on there, you'd be like, nah, I'm not gonna put you on there. They can't, like they can't. It's not like
The chat roulette days.
It's not roulette, right?
Our casting couch does not have masturbation. Sorry.
No.
Hey, thanks for not jerking off on the show, Bruno.
Could you imagine?
What if when we were going through one of our like fucking deep dives into shit where Bruno's just kind of he just like,
stands up on his chair, hangs brain.
Sorry, guys.
The Batwing. I shaved it in Abraham Lincoln.
he's like boring.
Whacking it. Like, sorry, man. We were talking about casting couch, and I didn't know what it was. So
Now I know.
now I do.
Now I know it's got wieners.
That's so good. That's very good stuff.
All right, so there's what you've heard before. After the last time we did the show, we did like a little bit of a tweak on our outro, our closing plugs. So it's going to be simple, short, and to the point, hopefully.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm going to say is patreon.com/timespentpoorly. If you want to become a patron of the show, you want to support us in some way, go out there, check out the different tiers that we have to offer for that. If you want to get involved with any of our social links, watch live, or get notified, go out to timespentpoorly.com. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, which I've been watching our stats on that lately. Has been like a pretty higher number of so Overcast, which is not a service I'm familiar with. It's probably supported by BlackBerry, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and other services that are out there. You can watch live on YouTube. Also, we're on Twitch, Periscope, Facebook Live. And then anytime we go live, with the exception of today, because I was not on the ball, we'll do notifications via Twitter and Instagram. So once again, thanks for joining us this episode.
That was not any shorter than normal.
Old Huds, not any shorter than normal. Old Huds there on my left. Derek, at Derek on TSPN. You can see that right up above me. And then we have on my
don't worry about it.
I know. I know.
At Huds Magruder.
We got Huds Magruder at Huds Magruder, and then Bruno. Man, thanks so much for joining us this episode. This has been a pleasure to have you on.
Check out Bruno's pair of shorts.
Yeah, those will be in the links for sure. Thanks again. Later.